And we welcome you to Tampa, Florida. It's hot and humid. The heat index up above 94. The Redskins and the Buccaneers, each 1-2. Won impressively on the opening weekend, but have stumbled the last couple of weeks. Josh Freeman of the Buccaneers will get the football first. The Redskins won the toss but deferred. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Devoto down on the field. I'm Chris Myers. Glad to have you with us. The NFL on Fox. Couple of teams trying to get it right. That's Aurelius Ben back to receive the opening kick of Game 4. Billy Cundiff to boot it. Redskins Buccaneers are happening. And he goes through the end zone. He's one of the best in the league, tied for the NFC in that department. Touchbacks for Cundiff. So from the 20-yard line, Josh Freeman, who has 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, completing just 51% of his passes.
And he's been in a funk over the last 6 quarters for sure. I think you look at Vincent Jackson's star power. He is averaging 20 yards a catch, the wide receiver. If they can get that run game going with Doug Martin, look for Vincent Jackson to strike him in the play action and the vertical passing game. Carl Nix, the class of that offensive line. To me, he's the best left guard in pro football and a huge addition for these Tampa Bay Bucs in the offseason through free agency.
Buccaneers, one of 6 teams in the league who have run the ball more than they have thrown it. On 1st and 10 from the 20. To throw, Freeman for Mike Williams, who makes a fingertip grab. Let's check on the Washington defense. And up front, you already know about Jarvis Jenkins in for Adam Carricker. Also, Orakpo out another game for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, and Stephen Bowen is playing really good, especially defending the run. You would like to see these guys, really Jarvis Jenkins and Bowen, rush the passer better on passing downs. Ryan Kerrigan now is going to have to get more with Orakpo out. And then Reed Doughty starting today with the injury to Brandon Merriweather.
We welcome those of you watching the Panthers and Falcons. On 1st down, Freeman with a flip. And Aurelius Ben with the catch. The Washington defense, as Aurelius Ben slow to get up in pregame warm-ups. Actually, prior to that, Brandon Merriweather, who was supposed to start at safety his first game of the year with a knee injury, ran into Aldrick Robinson. Both are inactive for this game because of that collision.
Well, and Chris, you lose 2 guys in pregame warm-up. That's terrible luck and awfully disappointing because the Redskins, their biggest issue on this football team has been their inability to stop the big play through the passing game. And they really felt like getting Brandon Merriweather in the mix for the first time this year. He'd help them be able to fix that problem. Clearly, it's not going to happen with him getting hurt.
On 2nd and 7, Freeman with the run to the rookie Doug Martin, who is knocked down short of the 40-yard line by Mediu Williams, one of those safeties. But this is what happened. This is even prior to the pregame stretch, and you see the collision that Robinson on the right just gets knocked out cold, it appears.
Yeah, Aldrick Robinson looked like he had his head down and was talking to himself, trying to get his head right. Brandon Merriweather runs right into him, puts his shoulder on the chin, knocks him out, and then tears up his knee in the process.
Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, a big win for the Falcons, who stay undefeated at 4-0 in the division. The Buccaneers can't afford to stumble back any further. Tampa Bay, worst in the NFL on 3rd down.
This is where they wanted to be, though, the 3rd and shorts.
Freeman's throw complete, and falling across is Vincent Jackson across the 45-yard line, and they do convert. In fact, the Buccaneers, it's worth mentioning, have scored on their first offensive possession in every game this season, the previous 3, obviously.
And a really good job by Josh Freeman, reading the pressure that's going to come from his right, and then he just dials up the blitz beater for that blitz. And there it is, right to Vincent Jackson. We didn't see any of that against the Dallas Cowboys last week. They looked paralyzed offensively in terms of their thought process with the quarterback. That was good stuff.
Bucs like to run the football, but this is one of the worst secondaries. Well, only the Buccaneers is worse. They do run it here with Doug Martin. An excellent run defense by the Redskins.
Losing Brandon Merriweather is an issue. Now, they've been without him throughout the season, through the first 3 games. Reed Doughty's going to get the start for him today. And to me, that's an upgrade over the guy who's been in there in Deshaun Gomes. Certainly not a good game for Gomes, the safety, the second-year safety last week. Reed Doughty has played a lot of football. So I think having him in the lineup is really your best case scenario. There's Deshaun Gomes right there after losing Merriweather.
On no gain, 2nd and 10. Freeman has it. Floats it and closing fast to break it up against Vincent Jackson. Out of that secondary was Madieu Williams.
That ball came out a little bit late. Josh Freeman moves the pocket a little bit, which you like, and then he senses pressure coming up in his face from the back end and unloaded the football. But because he was a little bit late to Vincent Jackson, gave Madieu Williams an opportunity to drive on the football and get a breakup.
Mike Sullivan, offensive coordinator, came over from the Giants. It has never called plays in the National Football League until this year. On 3rd and 10.
Going to see man coverage everywhere in this game from the Redskins.
Freeman out of the pocket and on the move. Knocked down short of midfield. D'Angelo Hall making sure, along with Chris Wilson, that Freeman could not run for the first down.
I do like the fact that Josh Freeman did take off and run. He ends up short, as you said, not picking up the first. But as you see here, as he starts to slide, yeah, he didn't slide all the way, and that is a legal hit from D'Angelo Hall. But we need to see more of that if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Anytime you see man coverage, if there's nobody open, Freeman has got to use his legs, take off and run the ball.
Brandon Banks, who was suffering with a hip injury during the week, up for the Redskins today. Back to receive the Buccaneers punt from Kana. Fair catch called for inside the 10, where Washington will take over on offense, and he'll have one of his go-to receivers, Robert Griffin III, in a moment.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Progress for the Redskin defense as we welcome you inside our booth. We'll get our first look at Robert Griffin III today against that Tampa Bay defense, the #1 defense against the run.
And that's the matchup I'm excited about because the Redskins are the #2 rush offense in the NFL behind Alfred Morris and, of course, the legs of Robert Griffin III, who's having a fabulous season so far through the first 3 weeks.
Robert Griffin III, the first quarterback born in the 90s to start in the NFL.
That makes me feel old. I was already playing in the league in the 90s.
And he has Pierre Garçon back in the lineup, who went out after 8 plays in the opening day victory against the Saints. On first down, here comes a flag. Alfred Morris carries across the 10. It's nice to have professionally trained officials. There's our referee, Al Riveron, running the show.
And one thing you would expect with the real guys, they're going to make mistakes, but the flow of the game, I promise you, will be 1,000 times better.
Offside on the defensive end.
Apologize for the stadium microphone with the official cutting off, so we didn't get the actual number, but it is against the Buccaneers, so a 1st and 5 moves the Redskins up to the 15-yard line. Pierre Garçon on the right, Alfred Morris the back. Morris the carry, and that defense that doesn't let anybody run the football with the stop. And we mentioned Pierre Garçon is back, and Alfred Morris, the 6th-round pick from Florida Atlantic, has done a good job as the running back. Ryan Grant, who was picked up this week, inactive.
And Garçon gives him that big playability, stretching out the defense. Trent Williams, the left tackle, went out of the game last week against Cincinnati with a bruised knee. He is back. That's a big bonus for the Redskins.
On 3rd down, a shovel pass that goes nowhere and is incomplete. The pressure was on, and that Tampa Bay defense with a 3-and-out. Michael Bennett, who has 3 sacks, applied the pressure there.
Especially those two guys. They are playing at an unbelievably high level. They do lose Adrian Claiborne, so Daniel Nesham will be in there at right end today. Good group of young linebackers. Levante David, you talk about a guy who can cover some grass and run. He gets it done. And then Mark Barron, the rookie on the back end. He will absolutely light you up as a hitter. He's off to a good start as a rookie.
On 3rd and 8. They run the screen to Evan Royster. Short of the first down. Rookie linebacker Levante David making the play.
And I think if you look at the Redskins and all of their issues, if they've had any, it's been on 3rd down. And a big part of that is because they get in too many 3rd and long situations. And that's what Mike Shanahan told us yesterday, the head coach. We got to stay in the 3rd manageables. And that time it was 3rd and 7+, and they ended up a couple of yards short.
Roscoe Parrish just picked up, who once led the NFL in punt returns from Sam Rocca. And Parrish backing up at the 20 of Tampa Bay. With a move, he's to the 30, where he is brought down, and field position will favor the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after a 60-yard punt. So the defense does its job on Robert Griffin III. Tampa Bay on offense in a moment. Here in Tampa Bay, we mentioned the heat and the humidity, and down on the field, within a matter of minutes, you're sweating no matter how you're dressed. We'll see how it plays into today's game. Look at the temperature over 100. On 1st and 10, Buccaneers, Doug Martin, the rookie from Boise State, the running back. From the 30. Freeman to throw, and completes to Vincent Jackson.
I already read the game plan here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'll tell you why. I think last week against Dallas, and Dallas is a very good defense, but Josh Freeman was a sitting duck back there waiting for his vertical routes to develop down the field and open up, and it really never happened. And frankly, in coming in here, I said, these guys got to get into the tight formations. They got to play the horizontal passing game. Let Freeman get it out quickly versus all the man coverage. It's exactly what they did there. I like it.
Greg Schiano, in his 4th game as an NFL head coach, has all the faith in the world in his quarterback. And they run to Aurelius Ben and waiting for him, but he couldn't make the tackle. One of the Redskins slipping as he gets out to the 40. And again, Medea Williams makes the play.
Well, very good job on the fake. Here comes Doug Martin. Now here comes Aurelius Ben for the reverse, and it looks like Rob Jackson's got it all shored up on the backside, going to set the edge. He just gets juked out of his shoes right there, and then Medea Williams has to come up and make the tackle. That's a nice move by Aurelius Ben.
First down from the 41-yard line. Rob Jackson, of course, filling in with Chris Wilson at that spot where Brian Arakpo was hurt and is out for the season. Freeman steps up and floats one, and open at the 45. It's Mike Williams, who's inside the 40 of Washington.
That's Josh Freeman being Josh Freeman, the old Josh Freeman, the creative Josh Freeman that can move his feet and move around the pocket. Here's the route. Mike Williams on Josh Wilson, and Mike's going to sense that he's playing the upfield shoulder, breaks it off, comes back, and because of the movement by Josh Freeman, as you saw there, finds a little throwing lane and delivers a nice football.
Cedric Griffin out with a hamstring, one of those corners that helped in nickel situations. We told you Brandon Merriweather, who was supposed to play, is out. Thin in a secondary that has been abused. Doug Martin with a hole. Here comes a flag as he goes all the way down to the 20-yard line, and the flag is down at the 42. So after a 20-yard pass completion, we have holding against Jeremy Zuta, the center. That would have been a gain of 19. Wonder how happy he is to have the regular officials back.
Well, he doesn't have to manage the officials now, and I really felt like for the head coaches, that was the hardest thing for him. Look, these head coaches have so much on their plate, trying to manage their football team, trying to manage both offense and defense from series to series and play to play, and then having to worry about the play clock, the game clock, the enforcement of the fouls by the officials. All that off their plate will make their jobs much easier.
Mike Shanahan, you see that record with the Redskins, wants to dig this team out of its last place position. They've been in every game, both the Redskins and Bucs. On 1st and 20. Complete. Doug Martin is knocked down right away. One of the reasons Doug Martin is playing, and they traded up in the first round to get him, first ever running back drafted in the first round out of Boise State. Got the starting job over LeGarrette Blount. They think he does everything well. He picks up the blitz and blocks, catches, and can run the ball.
And that's uncommon for rookie running backs, to be able to come into this league and understand the protections. Number one, be able to understand who you're supposed to block with all the pressures that they see from week in and week out. And then number two, be able to execute the block. He's been able to do both of those things. A lot of smart guys come out of Boise State.
Catching a breather as LeGarrette Blount comes in on 2nd down and 14. He's the power back.
There's the matchup. Vincent Jackson in the slot.
They fake the run, complete to Aurelius Ben, who tries to get down the sideline. It'll be third down. Let's get a game break. Here's Patrick O'Neill.
So how would the Packers respond after having a game taken away from them last Monday in Seattle? Just like this against the Saints, Aaron Rodgers, a precision drive. It hits James Jones, 12-yard touchdown. First points of the first quarter this season for the Packers. They lead New Orleans 7-0. Chris, Tim, and Krista.
Thank you, Patrick. Saw where the Rams beat Seattle. No Hail Mary at the end of that game for Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. Here it's 3rd and 6.
Vincent Jackson on Richard Crawford right there in the slot. Big-time matchup should favor the Bucs.
They run a bit of a screen. That's DJ Ware, who slips away. Fights hard, but can't get the first down, but has moved into field goal range for Connor Barth. The ex-Giant, who is the backup to Blunt, who is the backup to Doug Martin. And Connor Barth, a string of 22 consecutive field goals made. It's the longest active streak in the NFL. In case you're wondering about the all-time NFL record for consecutive field goals made, 42, Mike Vanderjagt. This will be a lengthy kick of 50 yards. Kane in the holder. Andrew Economos, the snapper. The kick is up and right through the heart. 23 in a row. The Buccaneers with a 3-0 advantage will kick off in a moment.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Pizza Hut. Make it great. By Bank of America. And by Internet Explorer. Welcome to a more beautiful web.
Hope you're enjoying the NFL on Fox. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers. We have Chris Devoto down on the field for Connor Barth. His 8th career kick of 50 yards or more. His 2nd this season. That kept a 4.5-minute drive by the Bucs, chewing up time.
Well, one thing the Bucs have been able to do is early in games be able to be productive. It's in the second half where they've really had their issues. You look at them in the first 3 weeks, they scored on all 3 opening possessions. Now today they weren't able to do that, but they were certainly able to punch in that field goal on possession number 2.
Michael Kanan, who holds for Connor Barth, and the punter also kicks off. And Niles Paul is back for Washington. Gets up across the 25. We'll have to check on Brandon Banks if that hip is bothering him, because he was a game-time decision. Otherwise, he'd be back there to return for Washington. RG3 on offense, trailing 3-0 in Tampa Bay. In hot and humid Tampa, the Buccaneer defense giving up, less than 2.5 yards a carry.
Awesome up front in their ability to stop the run. And they'll have their hands full, because I'm telling you, the Redskins are going to do what they do, which is the zone run game and all the option stuff with the quarterback that's going to challenge that defense.
Alfred Morris carries, and they do run the football up to the 30-yard line. Morris averaging 4.3 a carry, and Robert Griffin came in as the leading quarterback running the football, over 200 yards already.
I'll tell you what they love about Alfred Morris is his ability to see the hole open up, which is key in the zone run game. You got to have great vision, and as soon as you read your offensive lineman making his block, if you got the inside gap, you put your foot in the ground and cut it downhill, just as you saw right there. Very decisive and then unbelievably powerful in the lower body.
2nd and 5 from the 29. The pitch to Morris, straight ahead. First down, Redskins. There goes Alfred Morris across the 45-yard line.
Not bad for a 6th-round pick. Mike Shanahan is able to find these guys.
A 17-yard gain.
Yeah, and watch this. This is kind of an unusual little play here, as Robert Griffin is going to turn and pitch it to Alfred Morris, and there's that vision I was just talking about. Sees the big opening to the backside, sticks his foot in the ground, cuts downhill. I talked about his power, but where he's underrated is really making guys miss in the open field. Rondé Barber didn't have a chance to get him.
Hey, Rhino! Check!
From the 45 and a half, there is Griffin setting up. Wide open at midfield. The pass complete to Darrell Young, and the fullback keeps churning all the way to the Tampa Bay 30. A 24-yard gain.
And this is where I'm so impressed with Robert Griffin is the thrower. And watch how fast as he drops back and he senses trouble, he is able to reset his feet, cock his arm, and throw it to the check down Darrell Young. And watch right here as he's going to slide to the left now. Just sets his feet real quick, recocks the arm, throws an accurate throw underneath to the running back.
And the fullback, Darrell Young, the injured player, being tended to on the field. Fullback Darrell Young, his first catch of the season, helped on the sideline. He was going to be the backup tailback today because Alfred Morris and Evan Royster, the only other backs that are active. Remember, on injured reserve, Roy Halou, and Ryan Grant just picked up, is inactive. On 1st and 10. The pitch, that's Alfred Morris. Slips through a tackle and fights down to the 35. A flag comes in late.
Well, he is a spirited runner.
What did he tell you? The first guy that gets to me never tackles me.
Never tackles me. It was unbelievable to listen to him talk about his weight room numbers.
Got a call against Joshua Morgan.
Yeah, holding out on the perimeter. Talking to Alfred Morris yesterday before the game, as they landed here in Tampa, I said, you've got to be unbelievably strong in your lower body at your size to run through the tackles that you run through and not go down. So what's your squat number? 645 pounds he's put on his back and able to full squat it. Chris, in my prime, that would have crushed me as a defensive lineman. That's big time.
He is a strong back. On 1st and 20. 4 wide receivers. There's a flag and a whistle. All right, no flag, just a timeout. Redskins with the 4 receivers. There was some confusion. So they will have 2 remaining in this half here in the opening quarter. Best drive of the day for Robert Griffin III and the Redskins, who trail by 3. Baseball's regular season coming to an end, and the National League's best will look to their brightest stars to move to the next level. October 14th, the National League Championship Series only on Fox, and then on to the World Series. And in Washington, postseason baseball for the first time since the 30s when Roosevelt was president. Here in Tampa Bay on a 1st and 20. Buccaneers with a 3-0 lead. Robert Griffin III trying to overcome the holding penalty. Time to throw, and completes to Fred Davis, who's in the clear. Inside the Fred Davis down to the 15-yard line before Mark Barron saved a score. He breezed through some Tampa Bay defenders at a 25-yard gain.
Now, Robert Griffin does a terrific job holding on to the ball long enough to let this play develop out in front of him. And then Fred Davis with a couple of wicked stiff arms, the first one on Levante David. But here comes the pressure out around the edge. Once Robert just hold on to the ball, then unloads it late, and there's the nasty stiff arm from the tight end on the linebacker. And Fred Davis is able to make somebody else miss. Last couple of weeks, Fred Davis has been coming off.
1st and 10 in the scoring red zone. Complete underneath. Leonard Hankerson, who got the start over Joshua Morgan. Kurt Menefee has a game break.
Well, the regular officials are back, but it's a similar story for the Packers taking on the Saints. Drew Brees hooking up with Marcus Colston, who pushed off Morgan Bournett. Still got the touchdown, 20 yards, tied the game at 7. Chris, Tim, and Krista. By the way, 47 straight game for Brees with a touchdown pass, ties Johnny Unitas' NFL record.
Thanks, Kurt. It's going to have you back. One of the all-time great records, Johnny U, tied by Brees.
Here's where the legs of Robert Griffin really scare you as a defense.
On 2nd and 8, Morris does take the handoff. Inside the 10. Remember, Tampa Bay, it's only 3 games, but they've been the best defensively in the red zone. Teams score only 18% of the time do they get touchdowns, 1 for 11.
Tell you who I think they're going to miss today, and you see number 97 out there playing right defensive end, George Johnson. They are going to miss Adrian Claiborne. Our high pick from a couple of years ago. Very, very good player. Lost for the season with a knee injury last week at Dallas.
On 3rd and 5. From the 9-yard line. Niles Paul is in as the fullback. He's splitting out to the right, top of your screen. There's a hole for RG3, and did he get in? Yes, it's a touchdown, Redskins. Pierre Garçon looked like he jumped on the loose football. They hesitated because the actual Griffin run didn't quite get in, at least according to the officials' call.
Griffin took a nasty shot from Ahmad Black, 43. You're going to see him flash into your screen right there. It was Ahmad Black on the bottom, Mark Barron on the top, and Robert Griffin looked like he caught it up. Let's see if he's down before this ball comes out.
Because it's ruled a touchdown, obviously everything is reviewed
It looked
or
like
confirmed.
he was in the end zone. Looked like the ball was already across the plane of the goal line. Yeah, before the ball actually came out. I told you, you've got to fear his legs down in here close to the goal line. That was quarterback draw the whole way.
And fantasy owners are saying give the touchdown to Robert Griffin III.
This is going to get... I wonder if this is going to get stopped and get under review here.
He's already rushed for 3 touchdowns in 3 games. It will be the end of the first quarter. Either way, the Redskins are going to get the touchdown. And Pierre Garçon, who played 8 games in the opener against the Saints and had a touchdown catch, injured foot, back for his first game and right on cue, on the spot, as the extra point goes through. And that is the end of the first quarter. The Redskins with Robert Griffin and Pierre Garçon connecting, sort of. Washington leads 7-3 in Tampa Bay. Robert Griffin III, always entertaining, taking a hit. Redskins get the touchdown officially. It's an 8-yard run. No touchdown for RG3, but Pierre Garçon on the football for the Redskin recovery. He came in as Garçon, as we mentioned, his first game back since that opening victory against the Saints.
And was he awesome against the Saints? And what an acquisition coming from the Indianapolis Colts. And he's not just a guy that can take the cap off the defense and run fast. He has got a nasty attitude that he plays with. You know, anytime you're running the option and all those perimeter runs, you got to have wide receivers that want to block. Garçon does all of it.
Robert Griffin telling me, hey, that's why you spend the money you do for a guy like that to have him here. We're glad to have him back. That foot problem, the pain tolerance, all that aside, with Aldrick Robinson hurt in the pregame, a little thin at the receiver position.
Boy, Griffin is fearless, isn't he?
Takes the hit, keeps on going. He's been taking a lot of hits lately. That was the buzz in Washington this week as Aurelius Ben back to take the Billy Cundiff kick, and he will down it. The Buccaneers come on the 20. We mentioned all the hits that Robert Griffin III has been taking. What does he think about it?
As far as the hits go, it's football. I got hit a lot. I don't know how many I got hit. I know I did get hit a lot. The one thing I won't do personally is quit or play scared. I've never played scared in my life. It doesn't matter how many times they hit me, I'm going to continue to get back up.
He told us after last week where he was hit 85% of the time, he was okay with it, but his mom wasn't.
Yeah.
She called.
Yeah, Mom was concerned about it. He said, Mom, don't worry about it. I prepared myself. I'm ready for it. Now, Mike Shanahan would love to see him slide, but when you get down near the goal line, there's that fearless mentality. He is going to lay out, sell out, and give it all he's got. Let me go back and review that and give that touchdown to Robert Griffin. That would be number 4 on the season for him as a rusher.
That would tie a Redskin record. So Josh Freeman counters. Floating one incomplete on a play that was messed up by Ryan Kerrigan.
Well, Ryan Kerrigan didn't take the bait. As a defensive end or an outside linebacker in this 3-4 system, running any type of bootleg or getting the quarterback out on the edge, you're really counting on that outside defender biting down on the run fake. Kerrigan didn't take the bait at all. He was all over Freeman, who had to unload it too early.
Ryan Kerrigan, speed and strength, says he idolized Michael Strahan. Watching him, that's who impressed him, and he wants to model his game after if he can.
And congratulations to Michael being nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Along with John Lynch, the former Buccaneer.
That's right.
Their first years of eligibility. Pass complete as Luke Stocker gets across the 25-yard line. London Fletcher makes the stop. Let's check in for an update with Patrick O'Neill.
Well, again, the Packers responding just fine. Second drive, Aaron Rodgers buying some time, hitting Greg Jennings. That's Rodgers' second touchdown of the day. He only had 3 coming into this game. Green Bay up on New Orleans 14-7. Chris, Tim, and Krista.
Thanks, Patrick. And here at 7-3, Redskins lead. Buccaneers have the football. 3rd and 5 from their own 25. has time in the pocket. Threw it behind his receiver up at the 42 for Mike Williams, incomplete.
And he throws it behind him, and London Fletcher, I thought from looking up here from my vantage point, looked like London Fletcher was in the throwing lane, which kind of clogged it up for Josh Freeman in his vision point, but that was not the case. That was just a bad throw behind the receiver, Mike Williams.
So Kanan back to punt. Brandon Banks is okay to return punts. They have not used him on the kickoff return. So the hip not bothering him that much. Backs up, steps out of bounds at the 20-yard line. An excellent punt by Michael Kanan. There is a flag after a 55-yard punt. Penalty at the 42-yard line of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay scored first on a Connor Barth field goal. Redskins answer with a run from Robert Griffin III, recovered fumble in the end zone by Pierre Garçon. And Al Riveron sorting it out. The call on Logan Paulson of the Redskins. It'll back Washington up, but they have the lead and they have the football here in Tampa.
This game is sponsored by Visa. Make your season epic with Visa NFL fan offers. By DirecTV. Now NFL Sunday Ticket is included at no extra charge when you switch. And by Burger King and the new Chicken Parmesan Sandwich.
Raheem Morris, head coach in Tampa Bay for 3 years, part of the organization for 8. Let go. Now the secondary coach for Mike Shanahan of the Redskins. No hard feelings, he says.
He got all the blame last year for that disappointment. And I promise you it wasn't all Raheem Morris's fault.
On first down, Robert Griffin III keeps and is slammed to the ground by Mark Barron, the hard-hitting safety, first-round pick out of Alabama.
See Robert Griffin stand up and clap his hands, and I'll do that all day. It's like there's a flag down on the field down there. Watch the tackling machine right here, Mark Barron.
And they're going to call it against Barron, unsportsmanlike conduct.
I fully disagree with that. Robert Griffin III is a runner. You're not picking him up as a passer and putting the extracurricular activity and slamming him in the pocket. He's outside the pocket. He's clearly a runner. To me, that's well within the rules for Mark Barron. Not a good call. What are you supposed to do?
Mark Barron is known.
Where's the replacements when you need them?
You want the replacement refs.
No way.
Greg Schiano likes Mark Barron to deliver tough hits. That one borderline and ruled unsportsmanlike conduct. So a 15-yard pickup. Griffin to throw and completes across the 35-yard line. Pierre Garçon with a first down up across the 40 by the time he was brought down.
And you can see everything they want to do with Robert Griffin out on the edge, either as a runner or as a thrower. He's really unbelievably accurate. Watch the speed by Garçon, though, to run right away from Levante David, who I highlighted in the lineups that he can run. He's not going to be able to run with Pierre Garçon.
A 20-yard gain. Now, interesting decision for the Redskins. You're facing the worst secondary in the NFL in Tampa Bay, and a team that we said was the best against the run, but Washington likes to run the football.
Well, Washington's going to pound the run. It's what they do to the tune of 35 times a game through the first 3 games of the season.
On first down, Griffin has it. He's going to go deep. Here comes a flag.
It's going to be on Rondé Barber.
And Pierre Garçon was trying to get downfield and got jammed.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the ball was in the air and it'll be pass interference, or if it was before the ball was released and it'll be illegal contact. Either way, Rondé Barber jammed up Pierre Garçon.
Just another way Robert Griffin can force penalties.
Well, he's got a great deep ball too now. He's got such a whip for an arm. It's just no effort, and he launches it.
It is pass interference and not defensive holding.
And a lot of people expecting these bootlegs to be tiered routes, which are short crossing routes. Not in this offense. They're going to take you deep and try to hit you with the big play. And Rondé Barber, clearly when the ball was in the air, made contact with Pierre Garçon.
From Virginia, Rondé Barber, who is in his 16th year, moved to the safety position full time at the start of this year from corner. On first down, Alfred Morris. And the second man, Lavonte David, brings him down after that 32-yard penalty. Alfred Morris from Florida Atlantic University. Howard Schnellenberger, his coach, who, by the way, drafted by the Redskins himself way back when. But that's about 3-4 hours from here, Boca Raton, Florida. He's from Pensacola, Florida. And you sit and talk to the guy. He's the most humble, decent guy you can. He cleans up after the team on the plane or in the cafeteria or in the meeting room, just said because it's the right thing to do. Somebody else has to pick up that mess if you don't.
Yeah, right when I got done talking to him, or we did, I said, you can tell Mom and Dad raised him right. He's one of 6 boys, number 4 in line with the kids.
Robert Griffin's pass is hauled in. No, incomplete. He couldn't hold on. It was Niles Paul at the 15-yard line. It'll bring up third down. Buccaneer defense tightening here after a couple of big penalties in this drive.
Aqib Talib just comes off of his outside guy and is able to get up and get enough of a hand. It looked like on the ball, but certainly one that Niles Paul could have corralled. Didn't catch it all the way through the ground. That's a good call on the no catch.
On 3rd and 11 from the 26. Complete. Leonard Hankerson inside the 25, well short of the first down. Billy Cundiff will come on to try a field goal. So call that a win for the Buccaneer defense.
Yeah, call it a lose first, getting the bad call on Mark Barron, and then a win keeping him out of the end zone. But if they end up with 3 points here, it's just bad luck, because I did not think that was a good call on Barron tackling Robert Griffin as a runner.
A 41-yard try. Cundiff is 5 out of 6 this year, but that miss was a 62-yarder at the end of the Ram game, which Redskin fans remember what a mess that was. And this time, he misses.
Now it's a win.
Greg Schiano, defensive-minded and very active on special teams for a head coach, saw something.
Well, the snap is good. Cundiff just pushes this right out to the right from the get-go.
Sav Rocca, the holder. Justin Snow, the long snapper. 7-3 Redskins. And driving, the official call on that slamming Robert Griffin from Mark Barron of the penalty that kept the drive alive, but no points out of that for the Redskins. LeGarrette Blount in for Tampa Bay on first down, and he gets the carry, and the Redskins bring him down, but he gets across the 35-yard line. Now this offense, they spent $100 million free agency Tampa Bay. Vincent Jackson, Carl Nix, they added Dallas Clark, and it just has not been clicking.
Well, they lost Davin Joseph, I think, which was a big loss up front at right guard, and he and Carl Nix were going to be the best tandem in the league. So losing him, I think, hurt their run game quite a bit. And then in the passing game, you can be as talented as you want, but if you're not thinking fast within the system and within the scheme and making quick decisions as a quarterback, it's just not going to look good. So I still believe they're a work in progress trying to figure out the offense.
Freeman to throw. Intercepted, D'Angelo Hall. And D'Angelo Hall was one of those guys who said the pride is hurt, the secondary getting embarrassed in the previous weeks.
Josh Freeman doing a nice job buying time. It looked like his arm got hit just enough from Barry Cofield, which forced the ball to be off target and out to the left a little bit, and really ended up being right to D'Angelo Hall, who was playing on the inside man coverage on Vincent Jackson. Really to the outside of Vincent Jackson, but the ball was supposed to go to the inside right here on this comeback route. Because his arm got hit, to me it forced the errant throw.
Vincent Jackson, the intended receiver, 4th interception for Josh Freeman this season, and the turnover sets up the Redskins at the 35. Darrell Young is back in. He splits to the top of your screen. The fullback who was injured earlier. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Hankerson. A quick turn of events, but D'Angelo Hall said we're going to lean on London Fletcher, our leader in the middle, to help pull this defense together because the last few weeks we just haven't done our part.
And I think a big part of that, and speaking with London Fletcher, is they had a great performance week 1. And I remember after that game, because we had them week 2, I said collectively that's the best defensive performance I've seen out of them in a long time. And London said we exhaled. We went into St. Louis. We figured they wouldn't be very good. Said after the last 2 weeks, we are unbelievably humbled as a defensive group.
Alfred Morris, and this time the Bucs swarm and spin, and Eric Wright got in there all the way back to the 40-yard line. That run defense turning it up a notch.
Well, it all starts with the 2 defensive tackles inside. Watch these guys come off the football. Look at that penetration by Gerald McCoy. You knock the guard back. There's nowhere for Alfred Morris to go. He's going to run into a sea of white jerseys. And that's it. When you play the zone run game and you're a defensive tackle, there's no waltzing, no square dancing, no going sideways. You've got to reestablish the line of scrimmage and penetrate, just as McCoy did there.
On 3rd and 13. Wide open is Fred Davis. But short of the first down. So after D'Angelo Hall's 36th career interception, his first this year, the Redskins are going to have to make a decision here. Try a long field goal on 4th and 1, or go for it.
Based on what we saw out of Billy Cundiff on that last one, pushing it straight right, and he never had a chance. I believe they'll be going for it.
And they are going to go for it, at least line up that way. There's a bit of a breeze, but remember it's hot and humid, so the ball is sticky, not traveling the football as well.
Let's see if they go with the obvious, which to me would be Robert Griffin as a runner.
From the 26 of Tampa Bay on 4th and 1. Oh, they got somebody to jump. Here comes a flag. Morris carries for the first down to the 20.
Chris, another impressive trait for a young quarterback, the hard count. And to be able to get up there in that situation, and it looks like Gerald McCoy jumped off sides and took the bait, that's impressive.
They'll take the 7-yard run. So a 1st and 10 for Mike Shanahan's offense.
Listen to this hard count. Well, you couldn't hear it, but I could hear it from up here, and that certainly forced Gerald McCoy to be offside.
Inside the 20, Redskins with a 7-3 advantage, trying to get some more. Fresh set of downs. Morris. Alfred Morris hopes as a rookie that he can hold up, of course, having played in Florida, the heat and humidity, because there's only Evan Royster up active today behind him.
Well, let me tell you who makes their run game go. It's the center and Will Montgomery, number 63 there. The right guard, Chris Chester, 66, and Corey Lickensteiger, the left guard. Watch all 3 of their games on tape, and that interior 3, without question, is the best part of their offensive line.
2nd down 7. And there he goes. Inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal. If they give him the mark up to where the first down marker is.
You talked about all the hits Robert Griffin's taken. Here's what he's going to try to do to fix that is after he hands the ball off, he's just going to raise his hands. I don't have the ball, you can't hit me. If he carries out the fake and then pretends he still has the ball and continues to run, the defense well within the rules to blast him. When he raises his hands like that, they got to call it off.
Yeah, and it's not a first down. They put it down at the 10-yard line. So 3rd down and 1.
They got him again. This time it's Gary Gibson right over the center with the hard count.
Encroachment against the defense. Listen to that hard count. People at home are saying, shouldn't you be watching the ball when you're that close?
I was always taught as a defensive lineman to watch the ball, especially when you're right over it as a nose tackle. Unforced errors and self-destruction on a couple of big 3rd downs by the 2 defensive tackles.
5th penalty against Tampa Bay. Now it's 1st and goal for the Redskins. Robert Griffin III, here he goes, and touchdown! That deserves a wow. And that is his 4th rushing touchdown of the season, so he ties Eddie LeBaron and Joe Theismann with a Redskin record for touchdowns by a quarterback running in a season.
And they're beat by alignment. Look at the 2 defensive tackles, and those are the interior 3 that are going to lead up on the linebacker. This is too easy for Robert Griffin. I mean, Alfred Morris comes through there. There's nobody even to block. Buccaneers were beat on the snap by the alignment of their defensive tackles. Robert Griffin saw it and exploited it.
Billy Cundiff with the extra point. And the D'Angelo Hall produces points after Robert Griffin III, who ran the other one close enough. This time he takes it in. And the Redskins lead 14-3 behind RG3.
It is sponsored by Chevrolet. From kickoff to the last yard, Chevy runs deep.
Robert Griffin III came in as the leading rusher among quarterbacks in the NFL, averaging 6.5 yards a carry. He runs a touchdown in, and previously had an 8-yard run to the goal line where Pierre Garçon recovered the fumble. Tampa Bay with the worst offense in the NFL coming in, now down by 11.
And it looked good early on. They were able to get a couple of things going with the passing game, but the Redskins defense settled in, and then of course the interception by D'Angelo Hall is what put him in position to get the ball back offensively and then get the second touchdown.
You said this could be a get-right game for either the Redskin defense, the secondary, or the Buccaneer offense. So far, Redskins with the upper hand, scoreboard as well as in that department. And Aurelius Ben has not had a chance. So he comes out to the 20-yard line where Tampa Bay comes up to snap the ball on offense. But Robert Griffin III leading Washington here on the road. Kyle Shanahan, it's easy to dial up plays with Robert Griffin III, who emphasized to us that as much as he loves to run the ball, travels farther and faster through the air. He can get you anyway.
I tell you what's amazing about him is first time as a football player that he's ever had a playbook. I couldn't believe that. Never had a playbook in high school, never had a playbook at Baylor in college. He did a pretty good job digesting this one for the Redskins.
Doug Martin carries on first down, and the Buccaneers better get to their playbook on offense because this offense is not producing enough points to win football games.
Well, I'll tell you one thing they've done, which they've had success with, is they've been throwing the ball on first down. And coming into this game, they were a more than 60% running team on first down. It's going to make it a little easier for the defense to defend the run. Today, they have certainly changed that tendency, and they've been throwing on first down, and certainly not that time, but it's been successful for them in this game. Probably the best thing they've been doing.
Freeman's first throw since the interception, and Vincent Jackson this time working against Josh Wilson, incomplete. It was D'Angelo Hall who intercepted the ball when it was intended for Jackson the last time.
And if you've got a size mismatch, which they certainly do with Vincent Jackson on Josh Wilson, if you're Josh Freeman, you got to put the ball up high to where only your 6'5" receiver can go get it. Well, Freeman's not even completing 52% of his passes. And that time, again, an underthrow, because Vincent Jackson towers over Josh Wilson. You got to put some air under that ball so he can go get it.
Jackson came in as the Bucs' leading receiver. Freeman at 6'6" in his 4th season, facing a 3rd and 9 here. And from behind, he's going to go down. And Ryan Kerrigan, 3.5 sacks this year.
And he's going against Donald Penn at the top of your screen. Or excuse me, DeMar Dotson, and he just speed rushes him to the outside, and you see him dip that shoulder and get it down and then turn the corner, and right there, finish on the quarterback. Look, there's so many guys in this league that can get an edge, but not a lot of guys that can finish. That was impressive.
7th sack of the season for the Redskin defense, their first in this game. And remember, they've had injuries like other teams, losing Arakpo and Carricker, as Brandon Banks takes it at the 20. To the 40-yard line. Redskins will have good field position. 6 minutes to go before the half after a 63-yard punt and an 18-yard return. Let's check in for a game break.
The Miami Dolphins trying to hand Arizona its first loss. Javorsky Lane on 4th down caps off a 95-yard drive. Dolphins up 13-0 at halftime. Chris, Tim, and Krista, the Dolphins defense has held the Cards to 68 total yards in that game.
Thanks, Kurt. The Cardinals trying to stay unbeaten. The Falcons won today in dramatic fashion to go to 4-0. The Texans also the only other unbeaten team. On 1st down, complete to Hankerson. Inside the 40 of Tampa Bay. This game may be getting out of hand if the Bucs defense doesn't put a stop to this. A 21-yard game.
Well, and a beautiful pickup against the blitz that the Buccaneers came with, because here comes Mark Barron right there, and watch Leonard Hankerson to the outside break it off to an in-cutting route, a good throw, and then he plants and pivots back, and able to shake Aqib Talib and pick up a few more yards. That's one thing the Redskins have done very good this year, which they haven't done in the past, Chris. Yards after the catch for all of their receiver weapons.
And on to Alfred Morris. First guy misses. Here he goes. Second guy misses. Alfred Morris. Redskin touchdown. He hit it out of the park. A 39-yard scoring run.
Well, there's the number 2 rush offense, and you can see why against, coming into the game, the best rush defense, the Buccaneers, and right behind the interior 3. Right there, look at that block by Trent Williams. I mean, that's Trent Williams back in the lineup today is able to get what we call a washdown block. There was a slant up in front of him, and he pushes the guy all the way down the line of scrimmage, which opened up a huge hole for Alfred Morris, and then he makes a few guys miss.
I don't know what washed out is, but that washed out the Tampa Bay defense. Trent Williams playing with a bad knee after last week. That's the longest run of the season, a 39-yarder. And we talked about how humble he is. He spent some time with a Little League baseball team in Virginia, just hanging out, got to meet him at the hotel, saw their game when he had some time. He said, you know, if I get in the end zone, I don't really have a celebration. I'll salute you guys with that move. And he deserves a salute himself.
Not bad for a guy who worked at Sears in college, right?
He still drives that 91 Mazda. Has 123,000 miles on it, and he's proud of it.
What'd you do at Sears, shipping and receiving?
Asked if I could get a good deal on a refrigerator. But you mentioned the run defense already in this game. The Redskins have run for 85 yards. The Bucs came in only allowing an average of 47
Well,
again.
I think a couple of things. Number one, they haven't faced a running team like the Redskins, and all the options in the run game. The Redskins are going to bring the inside zone, all the option plays with the quarterback. Also on top of that, no Adrian Claiborne, and that went right to the side where he typically lines up, the right defensive end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
4th touchdown of the year for the 6th-round pick, Alfred Morris. So between the other rookie, the Heisman Trophy winning Robert Griffin III, and Alfred Morris, these two are putting on a show. His mom and dad here to watch him. There's his mom. Proud of what her son has done, not only on the football field, but if you sit and talk to him, as you said, a true gentleman and a humble guy who has helped the Redskins to an 18-point lead here. Aurelius Ben will watch this Billy Cundiff kick go through the end zone and out to the 20-yard line. The Buccaneers, who have been sputtering offensively, will get a chance. College football, Fox College Football on Saturday. The pregame show begins at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. It's our first doubleheader of Pac-12 clash with Arizona and Stanford. And then Geno Smith. I was talking to Robert Griffin III about that game yesterday with Baylor in West Virginia. Geno Smith, a Heisman hopeful and moving up the charts against Texas. They won an exciting game on Fox and college football last night, as there's a Texas alum, Roy Miller, getting worn out by that Redskin rushing attack. First and 10 Bucks. Quick pass. Vincent Jackson with a move, but falls down at the 25-yard line.
Well, and I think if you're Tampa Bay, what you hope for is obviously being down here 18 points is you want to continue to show the threat of a run game, which they do here, and then throw it to the perimeter.
Rob Jackson, Tim, tipped that ball, but Vincent Jackson stayed with it.
Yeah, he did. And just finishing what I was saying, they're going to show all their run looks to hopefully get the Redskins to bring that safety up into the running box, get the isolation matchups out on the perimeter, and throw it.
Doug Martin with the carry, has a hole, and gets up to the 35-yard line. But D.U. Williams making the stop. Martin came in averaging just under 3.5 yards a carry, picked up 10 there. He does have the quicks to break one and go the distance. Fresh set of downs for the Buccaneers. They came in wanting to run the football, but trailing by 18 with 4 minutes to go before the half. And they have to adjust that. Freeman has time, but can't find anybody. Dumps it underneath it, incomplete. London Fletcher on the coverage. London Fletcher in his 228th straight game. And every time we call the Redskins, you always want to talk about London Fletcher.
Oh, he's unbelievable. And a little crossing route here, and Vincent Jackson, Josh Freeman just missed him. And that was his read. I mean, he looked to the right. There was only 2 receivers on the field. They were both to the right side of the formation. They beat that coverage look, and Josh Freeman missed it.
And he had the time to scan the field.
Hey, Delta, next.
Delta means here comes a pass.
Okay, and there goes a completion to Dallas Clark. Now, if you know that, don't the Redskins know that?
I think everybody who's been around knows that Delta in the sky, baby.
As long as they
get up.
As long as they get the jetway to the gate so you can make your connection. It's 3rd and 4 from the 41-yard line. DJ Ware checks in. They came in with the worst 3rd down numbers in the league.
I read it about that same clip today. Not good.
5 defensive backs for the Redskins. High snap, faked.
High snap. You fell for it.
As the run by DJ Ware. You see Freeman went all the way in the air.
That was good. Little trickeration, just the direct snap.
Gets a 17-yard gain. Greg Schiano with a first down. DJ Ware figuring in this game.
The old giant who's been a nice asset for them offensively. Here he is offset. The snap's going to go right to him, but it's Freeman who carries out the fake and does a great job.
I was totally faked. I thought he was going to go chasing the football. Doug Martin checks in. Bucks with an impressive drive. All they have so far, a 50-yard field goal for Connor Barth. Freeman's pass incomplete. Dallas Clark, the longtime Colt, was his intended target.
And again, just not an accurate throw from Josh Freeman, period. I mean, you got man coverage across the board, and I like the plan this week offensively from Mike Sullivan. Look, we're going to dial up the short horizontal routes versus the man coverage, quick breakers in the underneath. Dallas Clark gained separation from the linebacker that time, but another bad throw from Josh Freeman.
He said he likes this offense. There's a lot to take in. There's no freelancing in this offense. That's what Josh Freeman told us with Mike Sullivan as coordinator.
And no freelancing needed there. How about just stick your foot in the ground and throw an accurate ball?
On 2nd and 10. He throws into a crowd incomplete. And there really wasn't much happening there. It's hard to find the 5'9" Doug Martin, and we're hearing the hometown boos for Josh Freeman, a former first-round draft pick. He's the franchise quarterback on 3rd and 10. His 3rd different offense technically. He said really it's his 2nd in his 4th year.
I know one thing. It's not from a lack of trying, because the guy does everything right in terms of showing up early, staying late, and trying to live the game. It just hasn't come to fruition for him yet in this offense.
Again with time, but he's going to keep it and slide, and it's going to be 4th down. Josh Freeman misplayed that entire drive. You're going against a secondary that's given up 1,000 yards and 10 touchdown passes. And that's what you come up with. We've hit the 2-minute warning. Alfred Morris and the Redskins with a 21-3 lead. Josh Freeman having a rough first half.
Boy, is he. And there's the offensive coordinator, Mike Sullivan. Really, I got to tell you, I don't know how much easier you can make it for him. They've done okay with the run game. They've taken some pressure off of him. But, you know, it's the quick horizontal routes, the man beaters, and he's just been inaccurate. Started the game pretty good. Ever since, he has not thrown very many good football.
So that run and slide on third down, Greg Schiano says, let's try for 3. Connor Barth, who's made 23 in a row, including a 50-yarder earlier. This will be 57 yards. He's made a 55-yarder in his career. That's his career high. The kick. Right down the middle. He got it! 57 yards. Put a lot of leg into that one.
And got height on it. Usually when you get those 55 plus, they are coming out like your 2-iron in your golf bag. Line drives. Connor Barth is able to get enough lift on that to get it over the defensive line and push it right through the uprights.
So now that's 24 in a row, and you throw in a 57-yarder, and earlier the 50. That's impressive. And they inch a little bit closer. Connor Barth, who says Pilates in the offseason help him stay flexible, so it gives him that torque with his leg on the long kicks.
Is that how Freeman lost 25 pounds?
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Freeman did lose 25.
So.
It changed his hairstyle. Connor Barth has the same.
You got to roll with that style.
Long snapper. He is not the alligator whisperer like Matt Bryant, who kicked the game-winning field goal for Atlanta today in the closing seconds. But Connor Barth has been clutch for Tampa Bay. So the Redskins have 2 timeouts remaining. 1:55 to go before the half. And Robert Griffin III, who has a touchdown run and then a fumble into the end zone that Pierre Garçon scooped up. And then he watched Alfred Morris run one in from 39 yards out.
And Chris, he's been the difference in this game for sure. Obviously the interception was big by the Redskins D, but Robert Griffin running the ball down in the red zone been the difference with the points.
Redskins will take the ball out on the 20. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee. See what's coming up.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll have highlights from a busy Sunday here in Week 4 of the NFL, including big wins for the Texans and Falcons to remain perfect, and big bounce-back wins for the Niners and Patriots. It's all on the Visa Halftime. See you then.
Thanks, Kurt. The Nationals lost to the Cardinals 10-4, so even though the baseball team in Washington is going to the playoffs, they want to wrap up that division. And Mike Shanahan would like his team to wrap up this half with his 21-6 lead. And the Buccaneers have been penalized.
He got his own guy that time.
5 times. Somebody jumped here.
The hard count got his left guard, Corey Lickensteiger.
False start. Number 66 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, they call it on Chris Chester.
He's looking around. Go, what? Watch the left guard. Yeah, Lichtensteiger is the false start on the left guard right there, number 78.
Only the 3rd penalty on Mike Shanahan's team. In terms of penalty yardage, it's been a rough area this year for Washington. So it's 1st and 15 now. Robert Griffin III. And juggled by Darrell Young, but he holds on and gets up there at first down. A little extra pushing and shoving over there for Quincy Black. A 16-yard gain, good enough for a Redskin first down.
Darrell Young, doesn't mind the contact. The guy was a linebacker in college. Came to the Redskins as a linebacker. They moved him to fullback, and he can actually cross-train and play just about anywhere. He loves the contact.
Time of possession also dominant on the part of Washington. Griffin's pass complete, but right there to make the play at the 35. Rookie linebacker Lavonte David on Alfred Morris. Redskins have 2 timeouts remaining. Buccaneers have all 3. Alfred Morris with 72 yards rushing on 10 carries, including the touchdown run. So he's averaging over 7 yards a carry against Greg Schiano's defense, which again was #1 stopping the run coming into this game. See the sleeve, that stylish sleeve and glove Robert Griffin III told us about when we had him earlier in the year. We're going to hand it to Morris. He's knocked down to 30. Now remember, RG3 said that sleeve, it came from an injury, but then he liked the style thing. The glove is for Michael Jackson, the one glove. He enjoyed the Entertainer since he was a kid, and said if you feel good, you play well, and you know, it's something that's kind of spread across the country.
Yeah, and this is my son's high school where he goes out in San Jose, California, Valley Christian, and I'm going to let you tell us straight. Which one do you think is my boy? Go ahead, Chris.
Who's the biggest, baddest, meanest? Let's see. I don't know. Show me that one. Is that? Yeah.
There he is, okay. Number 94.
I guess he got injured a little last night. I hope he's okay. And by the way, the head coach there, Mike Machado, actually coached Kyle Shanahan back at Saratoga High School in San Jose.
He absolutely did. And I was telling him about this triple option. He said Kyle Shanahan could have coached that triple option coming out of high school in his sleep. No surprise he's gone to it with a talent like Robert Griffin.
I want to see Kyle Shanahan wear the one sleeve and the one glove.
That wouldn't be right.
Meanwhile, it's third down. It could be a big stop for the Buccaneer defense. And they hand it off to Evan Royster. There's Rondé Barber in, and there's a quick timeout by the Buccaneers. Kind of an interesting call for the Redskins.
Well, they've been so effective running the football, and they're not even going to give Tampa a chance, or weren't certainly on that play, to have something happen in the passing game and breathe life back into them with a big-time play. Defensively, that being the Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay will have a timeout remaining with 51 seconds to go. And the punt will be snapped. It'll be the second punt for Sab Rocket. Had a 60-yarder earlier. They'll snap it from the 31. Roscoe Parrish, we mentioned recently, picked up just this week, as a matter of fact. Twice led the NFL in punt returns back when he was a member of the Buffalo Bills in 07 and 08. Jordan Shipley released by Tampa Bay.
Remember, they've had a couple blocks.
He gets this one away. And Parrish from the 18 into the roll. Can he get up the sideline? No. An excellent special teams play by the man, Lorenzo Alexander, who always comes up big, it seems, on special teams. 51-yard boot and a 9-yard return. Fox tonight, animation domination with The Simpsons. I saw Zoe Deschanel. She comes to New York and voices us. She was on the pregame show. Helped the guys open up the NFL on Fox pregame show. Bob's Burgers, Family Guy, American Dad. It's animation domination season premiere. Sunday, the only place for all the new episodes is right here on Fox. 40 seconds and one timeout for Josh Freeman, who has completed 11 of 19 for only 80 yards, and he did have the interception, which the Redskins were able to take advantage of. Incomplete. Vincent Jackson, the target. Now he's getting time, but he's just not delivering the football or finding anybody open.
And he's having words with Vincent Jackson right now, and whether Vincent was supposed to stop on the route versus the zone and be in that little void, or whether he was supposed to keep running. I know this, Josh Freeman was running to his right and tried to throw back to a moving receiver going to his left, and not even close in terms of the accuracy.
Second down, 10. You want to get in position if you're the Bucs to at least try a Hail Mary or a long field goal.
Get the ball to Dallas Clark.
Time again in the pocket. Passes underneath it for 30 and run out of bounds is Doug Martin. Perry Riley making the stop, but it's going to be third down, under 30 seconds to go. Piece of halftime report coming up with the guys. Highlights from around the league. The Fox Sports Ticker will keep you updated. Terry and Howie, Michael, Jimmy, and Kurt. And again, congratulations, Michael Strahan, John Lynch, part of our Fox crew, eligible in their first year for the Hall of Fame.
I don't know about old Lynchy. There's not a lot of safeties in, but you know as well as I do, Strahan's a first-time lock.
On third down from the shotgun. Pressure coming. Pass is caught, but short of the first down. There is Dallas Clark. But a weak effort by this Buccaneer offense.
You got to get that timeout call.
The Redskins take the timeout because it's 4th down. Greg Schiano, after 11 years at Rutgers, his only NFL coaching experience prior to taking this job, the defensive backs coach for the Chicago Bears in the 90s, your old team.
That's right. Yep. And he actually was a secondary coach for the defensive coordinator, Bob Slowick, who is on the sideline with the Washington Redskins today.
It's amazing with Rutgers. They went to one bowl game in 130 years, and he got there, turned the franchise around. They ended up winning 5 straight bowl games and took this challenge once it was turned down by Chip Kelly.
How many times in the offseason did you hear, oh, Greg Schiano, it's Bobby Petrino all over again with that Atlanta project, bringing a college guy in, and clearly that wasn't successful. I don't feel that way at all, especially after talking to him the other day. Got a lot of respect for that guy and talking to him and what he's all about.
One of the few coaches who came into our meeting room, our production meeting, with a whistle around his neck.
It was a good timeout call by the Redskins. Yeah, no kidding. He did have that whistle. He almost blew it on you.
Yes, my calisthenics weren't up to standards. 4th punt of the game for Kanan here, and the Bucs will try to survive this half. As it goes out of bounds, let's see what the Redskins, with a timeout remaining and 14 seconds to go. This is it's a poor kick. It's way up at the 42 of Washington.
That's why it was a good timeout. Now, who knows what they're going to do, but you've given yourself an opportunity here with a timeout left to work the sideline to get yourself in field goal range with one nice completion.
That was only a 23-yard punt by Kanan. He was trying to work the sideline, I'm sure, but he came in averaging 43, and he's a very consistent kicker. So from the 42-yard line, 14 seconds and 1 timeout. Redskins with a 21-6 lead. See how they play it. Joshua Morgan splits out to the left top of your screen. Leonard Hankerson and Santana Moss, the other receivers. Robert Griffin flips underneath to Hankerson. He's got some running room. Trying to get out of bounds. And does, short of midfield. But 7 seconds remain.
Now, you still got the 1 timeout left if you're Washington. So you could try to hit a quick one and get in field goal range and call a timeout, but with 7 seconds left. They're just so far away, I'm not so sure about the Hail Mary. Now, Robert Griffin can certainly launch it up in his sleep and throw the football that far.
Loosen up that sleeve a little bit. Probably just run out the clock, but the Bucs have to play it carefully. Quick pass to Morgan. They got called timeout inside the 40. It would be a 56-yard field goal if they're going to try that. We do have a timeout, Redskins.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. That clock management handled perfectly from Mike Shanahan, the head coach.
So from the 39, that's where they will snap it. 57 yards officially. Sabraka the holder. You know, the long snapper we mentioned is Justin Snow. Nick Sundberg, who went on injured reserve, snapped the ball 9 times with a broken arm in the second half of week 1 when they upset the Saints.
They'll actually be getting him back. He is on the new injured reserve designated for return rule. They can bring him back.
There's Snow, who has stepped into the spot. 56 yards, the career long for Condiff. He's missed earlier in this game from inside 50. And this one is in the air and short, no good. That will end the first half. The Redskins with a 21-6 advantage. Robert Griffin III with a touchdown run, and the rookie Alfred Morris also getting into the end zone. Let's head to Kurt Menefee in the Visa Halftime Report. NFL on Fox, glad you're with us from Tampa Bay. 21-6 Redskins, and Washington gets the football to start the second half. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Chris Devota down on the field as we welcome you up into our perch and enjoying Robert Griffin III and an offense against a defense that was the best against the run coming in, Tampa Bay. But whether he's running or throwing, RG3 has the Redskins scoring.
Well, he's been fabulous. That's just really the bottom line. 12 of 15 as a thrower, and most importantly for Robert Griffin III. Remember the story coming in today was all the hits that he was taking either as a passer or as a runner. 28 times he got hit last week in the Cincinnati game. 5 times. 5 times he's been hit in this football game today. So credit to the offensive line and everybody else offensively.
And as much as he handles the football, Tim, he certainly has not turned it over today. They did have an interception that D'Angelo Hall, that Redskin defense, much maligned, especially the secondary, came in second worst in the league, and they've held up.
Well, they have slammed the door on the big plays in the passing game. Josh Freeman and the Buccaneers have got one play, Chris, over 20 yards, and that was to Mike Williams early in the game. Besides that, of all of his completions, there hasn't been one other pass over 10 yards. So defensively, clearly they have shored up the shutting down, the big plays that were such an issue for them the first 3 weeks of the season.
And if we go with the data that we have seen in these first few games, Josh Freeman has been a better first half quarterback than a second half quarterback. He's going to have to turn that around if the Bucs are going to get back into the game. You can follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. The heat, the humidity, of course, a later start here in Tampa Bay has not shown any effect on the visiting team.
I'll tell you what, I think the visiting team's got an advantage because they haven't been practicing in it all week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't have an indoor climate-controlled facility.
Or a bubble.
Or a bubble, yeah. So they're outdoors. It was baking down here all week. Advantage to the Redskins. Not have to practice in it and stress their bodies out for the last 5 days.
Michael Cannon will kick off. A couple of field goals from Connor Barth and beyond 50. Cundiff has missed 2. Otherwise, the Redskins might have a bigger lead. And the running of Alfred Morris, the 6th-round draft pick from Florida Atlantic, 75 yards, including a 39-yard touchdown dash.
How about this number? And it really supports his leg power in that 645-pound squat I talked about. 61 of those yards after contact.
Niles Paul will bring it out to start the second half, and he is knocked down at the 11-yard line. Let's head down to the field, and Chris Devoto. Hi, Krista.
Hi, Chris. How in the world does Tampa Bay get back into this football game? I talked with Coach Greg Schiano, and he said it's just fundamentals. We have got to throw. We have got to catch. We have to move the chains. We did some things well in that first quarter. We have to get back to that. Meanwhile, Coach Mike Shanahan with the Redskins says we don't really need to make adjustments, but we cannot get complacent. We have to continue to play hard, and when we're in that red zone, we are going to capitalize.
Thank you, Kristen. Good to have you with us. Both of these teams in the first 3 games, and they come in with a 1-2 record. They've been in every game they've played.
Wait. Today, 54, Monty. Red 80. Red 80, son.
On first down from the 11, Alfred Morris takes the pick. And Alfred Morris with a Redskin first down, a chunk of yardage up near the 25-yard line.
Chris, always loved the outside zone player, the stretch play versus a 4-man front, but you've got to be able to get this guy blocked. And watch Logan Paulson, number 82, the tight end, right there, get Michael Bennett blocked. I mean, that is really, really good.
A gain of 13 of the injured player, Levante David of the Buccaneers, their rookie linebacker, who has played well even in this first half of today's game. We hope that Levante David is not seriously injured. We saw in the first half Darrell Young left but was able to come back and play for the Redskins. It was on that run where David went down. And being helped up, Todd Torricelli, longtime trainer here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looked like he ran into his own teammate.
Yeah, just friendly fire. And Mark Barron right there, helmet to helmet. And Mark Barron will hit anybody. It doesn't matter.
And Buccaneer fans, they say, hey, the hits of Barron remind us a lot of what John Lynch did, but certainly you don't want to run into your teammate. But when he's got the radar going, John Lynch always said, like Ronnie Lott told me, you try to see through the guy when you're going to hit him. The number 1 pick out of Alabama will get a check on Levante David with Chris Devoto down on the field, as you saw. Brandon Banks is in. The pass goes to Fred Davis. He slips a tackle and has another Redskins first down. Mason Foster eventually got to him across the 35-yard line of Washington, a 12-yard gain.
I just can't imagine having to prepare for the Washington Redskins with all the misdirection. Look at that. Fake everything to the right and throw a quick little hitter Screen to the tight end, Fred Davis to the backside, who squeezes through a tiny little crack. Blocked by Trent Williams and Joshua Morgan. Unbelievable to have to prepare for these guys with all they throw at you.
Evan Royster checks in at running back. He gets the pitch. Buccaneers get to him, but he still falls forward for a decent first down gain.
And this is a huge possession for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've got to get a stop. They cannot give more points on the first drive out here in the second half.
And that's Eric Wright, the starting corner, who is injured. Moments after Levante David, the starting linebacker for the Buccaneers, left the field.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Volkswagen, that's the power of German engineering. By Miller Lite, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And by Taken 2, starring Liam Neeson, the man with a particular set of skills is back.
Eric Wright was able to walk off, took a shot to the head.
Yeah, it was the knee of Corey Lickensteiger, the left guard. And sometimes some of the toughest blows to the head are when the head makes contact with the lower body, as it did there.
E.J. Biggers in at corner. Adam Hayward in for Levante David at linebacker. Pass is complete. Joshua Morgan inside the 45 of Tampa Bay.
Chris, not bad, Robert Griffin, for a guy who didn't have a playbook. Watch the timing of this route as Joshua Morgan is making an in-cutting route, and right when he gets to the middle part of the zone, that ball is on him. Robert Griffin as a pocket passer, and I don't think anybody really expected him to be as good as he's been here through the first 4 games from the pocket. Everyone expected everything out on the edge from Robert Griffin.
Here comes a flag as Morris carries. Run down. Here comes another flag late. Alfred Morris stopped short of the 40 of Tampa Bay. The injury on Levante David, they're checking his wrist. And again, it was a blow to the head on Eric Wright. So 2 more starters out on the Buccaneer defense as the Redskins, with the lead and the football, try and move further into Buccaneer territory.
And Robert Griffin's hard count is ridiculous. And Tampa has been jumping. If this ends up being against them, this is going to be the 3rd time he was able to get them to jump offside with his hard count.
They played a college game on this field yesterday, sold out. Florida State defeated the University of South Florida. Field a bit torn up, but the crowd here has been taken out of it.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offside, the defensive tackle on the defense. Personal foul, clipping number 63 on the offense. By rule, only the 15-yard penalty will be enforced. Replay, first down.
A clear explanation. Boy, it's good to have the professional officials back in the game.
And there's Will Montgomery, who's going to end up getting the clip. Right there offsides. Now here's he pulls out and gets out in front. You cannot clip a guy even inside the running box from behind, as he just did there on the linebacker.
So you talked about the importance of this stand for the Tampa Bay defense, especially missing Eric Wright. They get a break. The defense does at 1st and 25.
This is a huge ride for their emotional and mental psyche. Got to get a stop.
Robert Griffin. Incomplete. Good coverage there by E.J. Biggers. Let's get an update with Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Chris, thanks. Let's go to Mile High. Broncos and the Raiders. Just another typical day in the park for Peyton Manning. His 3rd touchdown of the day, going to Lance Ball, 14 yards. Peyton, 295 yards. It's 31-6. Denver over Oakland, starting the 4th. Chris, Tim, and Krista.
Wait a minute, Patrick. I didn't think Peyton could throw anymore. How about all those reports that were out this week? What a joke.
He's physically doing okay. On 2nd and 25, the Buccaneers bring in 5 defensive backs. Here's Griffin. Goes underneath and completes. Dancing around his Hankerson to midfield. It'll bring up 3rd down.
They're just so much more electric as a receiver core when you look at their weapons, bringing in Garcon and, of course, Hankerson here in year number 2, had the hip injury last year. And I know Mike Shanahan was absolutely looking for yards after the catch from his wideouts, and they have paid that part of it off this year. They've been very good in that area.
Buccaneers like to blitz, but Robert Griffin III is the least blitzed quarterback in the NFL this year. 3rd and 15. No blitz. He's going to run it. and wisely go out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Something Mike Shanahan said. He stood up in front of the team with Robert Griffin III and said, remember, you'll have to take it for the team as Eric Wright heads to the locker room. Don't get hurt or you're out for the year. It hurts all of us, so be a team player.
Yeah, and I think Mike Shanahan has helped him out today. I mean, how many times have we seen the read zone play with him running? How many times have we seen the triple option with him as a runner? We saw it 10 times in the game last week against Cincinnati. That triple option looked not once in this game today against Tampa.
Savaraka with a sky-high boot. Fair catch called for at the 13-yard line of Tampa Bay. So the Buccaneers defense did take a stand. There's a flag down, but the Redskins were able to chew up nearly 4 minutes. 4 penalties for the Redskins called today, 5 on the Buccaneers.
And I really think in protecting Robert Griffin, you got to protect Robert from Robert.
Holding number 41 on the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Eric Lorick called for the violation. The Bucs have the football. Redskins may be sweating here in Tampa, but the Buccaneers are feeling the heat. Trailing 21-6, their worst starting field position today from their own 6-yard line. There's a whistle and a flag before Freeman can let the ball go.
False start, number 41 offense. Half the distance to the goal, still first down.
Back-to-back penalties on Eric Lorick. The special teams miscue backed the team up, and now this infraction digs a deeper hole.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the ambition when you're backed up against your own goal line as an offense, the ambition is to, take it 97 and punch it in for points. But in reality, you'd love to get a couple of first downs, get it out to the 25-yard line, punt, and get back the field position you just lost with that big penalty on Eric Lorick on the punt return.
And Greg Schiano is going back over the basics there. On 1st and 13. Freeman's pass is batted incomplete. Kerrigan, who has a sack in the game, with a big play there. At 6'4", getting his arms up.
He's unbelievable, and he's never missed a snap. There he is, and he's going to read the quarterback. As soon as Freeman's non-throwing hand comes off, boom, he gets his hand up. Did you see him destroy Doug Martin?
He wiped out
no
the
chance
5'9" running back who tried to block it, but it was London Fletcher, of course, who's played in his 15th year, has said, I see Kerrigan as a guy who will have a 15-year productive career.
Absolutely, does all the right things. And what's amazing is as much as D linemen rotate in today's game, he does none of it. He's played every snap since he started as a rookie week 1 last year.
Second down, 13. Floating one for Mike Williams. A nice turn and catch on the sideline. A big Buccaneer first down.
Now that is a very nice throw from Josh Freeman. And we'll give him credit when credit is due. And that's just the back shoulder fade. And reading the coverage of Josh Wilson, who's playing the upfield shoulder. He's not even looking, and he's just going to flip it to the backfield shoulder. Good adjustment, good toe tap. Nice first down.
18-yard gain, 3rd catch for Mike Williams, who has excellent hand and eye coordination. Vincent Jackson also with 3 catches in the game, but has miscommunicated on occasion with his quarterback. Freeman's throw, knocked down, incomplete. That was intended for Jackson, but D'Angelo Hall, who had the first half interception, was right there.
Is that an RG3 tribute, or is that just some type of pad on the inside of his elbow?
I told you Mike Williams. It was spreading from coast to coast.
Taking fire.
You showed your son the high school team on the West Coast, and here in Florida, and on the East Coast up towards Washington, D.C. and Virginia.
It's all about the Bay Area.
Remember, he said you gotta look good to feel good, and if you feel good, you play good.
And if you play good, you get paid good.
On 2nd and 10. Steps up and throws. Low and incomplete for Doug Martin. It'll be 3rd down. The first 3 weeks, this Redskins secondary, especially the last couple, as you pointed out, awful, but what they've done against Josh Freeman, you couldn't tell.
Yeah, and you know what? They haven't brought as much pressure today. They're the #1 pressure group, and that's the MO of Jim Haslett, who you're looking at there, the defensive coordinator. He loves to send pressure on quarterbacks, but through the first 3 games, they weren't getting home, and that quarterback rating reflects it. Less pressure today, better coverage, not giving up the big plays, and they have forced Freeman to struggle.
And again, without Brandon Merriweather and Cedric Griffin today. 5 defensive backs for Washington. 3rd and 10 Bucks. Freeman with time goes underneath. That's Aurelius Ben. Close to the first down marker. Let's check on those injuries at Chris Devoto.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, on the defensive side of the ball, still concerned with Eric Wright, that hit he took to the head. He is questionable for the game. Meanwhile, Levante David, the linebacker, has his right wrist wrapped. He is probable.
Thanks, Krista. So Adam Hayward and E.J. Biggers will have to play bigger roles for Tampa Bay. Now 2 for 9 on 3rd down after they came up short. Kanan, his 5th one. Brandon Banks. All the way back to the 11-yard line. Tries to put a move on. Slips a tackle. But doesn't slip that one. Actually lost a couple of yards. And a big special teams play by Dakota Watson. A 58-yard punt and a 2-yard loss. The hometown Bucks on the short end of a 21-6 third quarter score. Buccaneer backup Dan Orlovsky with Josh Freeman and offensive coordinator Mike Sullivan. They need to make something happen. Redskins have the football. They came in averaging a league best 5.1 yards a carry on the ground. They've been averaging over 6 per run in this game against the best defense against the run coming in. On first down, it's Alfred Morris, and this time with Levante David back in the game, and that wrist that bothered him makes the tackle.
It's a pretty good job by Aqib Talib as well. And anytime you're playing against that zone run game, and you get in that front where you have the 5 men at the line of scrimmage, your corners got to be what they call hard corners, which are tough in run support. Talib was all of that time.
On 2nd and 12, Redskins have to be careful down around their own goal line. And Robert Griffin goes down.
That's going to be a safety.
No call yet, and George Johnson.
Only way that's not a safety is if the hit started on the half-yard line, and I think that's what they're going to call.
No call from the official. That's where they're going to mark it. But George Johnson playing because of the injury to Adrian Claiborne. And Buccaneer fans want a safety call, just like you,
Well, and it's not a scoring play, so it's not going to be automatically reviewed, but certainly Greg Schiano can challenge it if he looks up at the big board and thinks that contact was made in the end zone. He's got his flag out.
He's probably talking that over. Let's take a closer look.
Now if contact's first made in the field of play, now it's too late. It doesn't matter.
From his own end zone, RG3 incomplete. And there's a flag down. If there's a flag in the end zone, then that's a safety.
Personal foul. Up in the pass. Number 59 on the defense. Penalty. Automatic first down.
What a huge error.
A turn of events. A call against Mason Foster. It would have been 4th down. And the Redskins would have been forced to punt from their own goal line. Instead, the late hit, and they get a first down out of it.
Well, self-destruction. How many times have we seen it today out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whether it's a defensive lineman jumping offside or here in one of the biggest spots in the game for them, getting a roughing on the passer in the end zone.
At some point, it's worth looking at that sack again on Robert Griffin III, whether it was in the end zone or not. But you can't challenge it, obviously, once the next play is snapped. And he's throwing on a run. Rondé Barber running right with. Here comes the flag. Pierre Garçon going down the sideline, and Barber was right with him.
This should be offensive pass interference. As Pierre Garçon, they were both looking at the ball. It looked like he ripped Rondé Barber to the ground.
And Barber is down in pain.
I mean, Rondé had his head turned looking at the football.
Pass interference. Number 88 on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
That is a correct call. Clearly. Let's look at Mason Foster's personal foul call. Yeah, let's take a look at where the sack came, whether it was a safety or not.
Yeah, contact started. He was still in the field of play when the contact was started on Robert Griffin.
It was not a safety. See, look where his feet are. And there's the contact, so correctly called there. your thought on the Mason Foster late hit?
Well, if the quarterback's in the pocket, anything, you only get one step. And if that first step hits the ground before contact is made, they're going to call a rough on the passer every time.
Well, Barber out of the game. Ahmad Black comes in at safety.
Remember that old two-step rule? That's been gone for a while now. Quarterback's in the pocket.
On first down, Robert Griffin's throw right on target, getting across the 22-yard line is Joshua Morgan.
What a laser.
That was a well-thrown football, and Morgan hangs on after getting hammered.
What a laser from Robert Griffin, just slicing it outside the outside linebacker in front of the corner, and then there's the big smash shot from Mason Foster on Joshua Morgan, and he hangs on to the football.
All the way up to the 24-yard line, so it's now just second down 1. Rondé Barber comes back in for the Bucs at the safety position.
Red 80. Red 80.
Alfred Morris the pitch. Gets the first down. Washington chewing up the clock here in the third quarter.
How in the world does Mike Shanahan find 6-round picks that can run like Alfred Morris? And obviously that wasn't a big-time run when you look at the yards, but it was enough to pick up the first down, and his legs never stop pumping like pistons.
And Alfred Morris, 6th-round selection, just like Terrell Davis, who starred in Denver for Shanahan. And as Robert Griffin III told us, he grew up a Bronco fan, a fan of Elway, when Mike Shanahan coached the Broncos. On first down, he floats one to Santana Moss. Sideline up near a first down, close to the 40. Let's get an update with Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. Interesting moment here in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers of the Packers gets poked in the eye. That was a face mask penalty, so first and goal, but Graham Harrell has to come in. His first ever snap in the NFL, botched handoff to Cedric Benson, recovered by the Saints, who now have the ball, trailing the Packers 21-17. Chris, Tim, and Krista.
Patrick, every week the league changes based on who's healthy and who's making the big plays. On first down, Morris carries for maybe a yard. Robert Griffin III has hit 8 different receivers on that previous throw to Santana Moss. Tim, remember, Moss told us he was one of the guys, along with Pierre Garçon, who went down to Baylor right away after RG3 was drafted and hung out with him, wanted to see what he was like, feel him out, work out, throw the football. So if you don't need a playbook, you at least need receivers who work with you.
Yeah, and that was big for their development, for sure. As you said, there was a bunch of them that went down. And Robert said he just wanted to show those guys where he came from, how he worked, what he was all about. That was time well spent.
Evan Royster checks in on second down. 5:40 and counting remaining here in the third quarter. A little screen to Royster. Gets across the 46-yard line. Here comes a flag late. Post play from the Buccaneers side of the field.
And it was Garçon and Aqib Talib tied up out there on the perimeter.
8 penalties on the Bucs for 92 yards. Shanahan's team just 5 penalties. But the penalties have come in key moments for Washington, helping their offense in the first half, and again here digging out of a hole on this drive.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 88 on the offense, 15 yards. It will be third down.
And watch as he comes after Aqib Talib here. Talib's just coming into the play, and that's absolutely a blindside cheap shot. No way you'll ever get away with that. That was cheap from Pierre Garçon. And you can't, there's no cheap shots allowed in this game anymore. That was clearly a cheap shot.
Guess the pain tolerance in his foot is okay. 3rd and 19. Buck defense, they've been up and down this side of the field. It's a key tipping point for Tampa Bay. Underneath to Hankerson, who's knocked down by Rondé Barber, and it'll be 4th down.
Unbelievable. Rondé Barber was in the NFL when Robert Griffin III was in 1st grade. Think about that contrast. And look at Rondé still put his foot in the ground and drive in terms of burst to the wide receiver Leonard Hankerson and just chop him down. Think about that.
An Iron Man just like London Fletcher, who once he got a start has been on the field every week since. Savaraka with the boot. Roscoe Parrish from his 20. Straight ahead and brought down. Here comes a flag late as Lorenzo Alexander makes the stop after a 49-yard punt and an 8-yard return. It's in the area where the Buccaneer blocker was trying to help Parrish shake loose. Every time the Bucs have tried to kickstart a drive, they've had a penalty that's backed them up.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 29, the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Backup corner Leonard Johnson, who's a local product, went to high school in the Clearwater, Tampa area, with a penalty that pushes the Buccaneers back further. London Fletcher, Rondé Barber, a couple of Ironmen defenders who respect what they do. As Rondé said, that linebacker spot, he takes much more abuse than I do, but look what they've done and how steady they've been for the franchises they've played for. Originally a Ram, London Fletcher, but has done well lately for Washington.
Well, and London's always been a linebacker. How about Rondé Barber here in year 16 moving to free safety? I know he's, for a lot of years, been like the 4th or the 5th safety on the depth chart as an emergency, but full-time this year.
For Mike Williams, who's open in Redskin territory. Mike Williams with a move down to the 20 of Washington. A 66-yard catch and carry. Josh Freeman to Mike Williams.
And a terrific throw. Watch him just take off and gain separation away from Josh Wilson, Mike Williams, and just a dime. Just a perfect throw from Josh Freeman.
4th catch of the game for Mike Williams. He's over 100 yards receiving today. And now at the 20-yard line of Washington.
Let's see if that breathes some confidence back into the mindset of Josh Freeman. That was a terrific throw.
And what does it do to the confidence of the Redskins secondary, which has been shaky prior to this game? Freeman with a timeout. That's the first of this half for the Buccaneers. They'll have 2 remaining. The Redskins have the lead, but the Buccaneers are on the move. Longest pass play of the season for the Buccaneers, officially 65 yards. Freeman to Mike Williams.
And could not have thrown it any better and on time. And the only critique here is when Mike Williams cuts back, he should have trusted his speed. He would have outrun Reed Doughty, I think, to the end zone. Instead, he cut back to the outside and was able to get caught.
From the 20-yard line, first down. Here comes a penalty.
Neutral zone infraction. Number 91 in the defense. 5-yard penalty. It will remain first down.
The call on Ryan Kerrigan, who's played a very good game for this Redskin defense, keeping Tampa Bay to just 6 points. Now it's 1st and 5. LeGarrette Blount has checked in at running back. He's carried just once today. Blount has it. Powers forward. A tough hit delivered on Doughty by LeGarrette Blount.
And that was a very nice read by LeGarrette Blount, too, and being able to cut that all the way back to where the running lane was. And you'll see it develop right in front of him. It's supposed to stay more front side. He cuts it back and then lowers the boom right there on Reed Doughty with a big-time collision. Wow.
1st and goal for the Buccaneers. Their best chance at punching it into the end zone. They're at the 9-yard line. LeGarrette Blount has it. And goes forward for a couple of yards. Clock running here at just over 2:35 and counting.
He's got to use it, in my opinion, Josh Freeman here and Mike Sullivan, the play caller, has got to take advantage of the mismatch in height with his wide receivers to these corners and safeties for the Washington Redskins.
You're talking about Vincent Jackson is 6'5", Mike Williams is 6'2".
And I think he's a little over 6'2", and near vertically challenged on the back end when you look at that secondary for the Redskins.
Second and goal from the 7. For the end zone, Mike Williams incomplete. It'll be third down. It's an important third down. You could be in 4-down territory if you advance the ball near the goal line because it's a 2-score game here.
That's right. And they were not on the same page here, as I think Mike Williams was thinking it was going to be the fade over the top, and Josh Freeman may have thought he was going to throw the back shoulder fade and ended up just throwing it away.
Those corners you're talking about, D'Angelo Hall at 5'10", Josh Wilson at 5'9". Tyquan Underwood, who's in the game, is also over 6'1" for Tampa Bay. Quick pass, end zone, Vincent Jackson, Tampa Bay touchdown.
Well, this is the way you beat double coverage. You do it with size, route running, and a terrific throw. Look at Josh Freeman just put that right up in between two defenders, high enough for Vincent Jackson to go get it. That was perfect.
And he took advantage of the size.
Absolutely he did. And part of that size was being able to shake down D'Angelo Hall and get that open away from the line of scrimmage.
On to kick the extra point is Connor Barth, who has 2 field goals in this game. Beyond 50. A 65-yard drive. I'll make that an 85-yard drive, but the 65-yard pass play to Mike Williams set up this touchdown.
And Josh knew it the whole way, and I think he did anticipate that he had the double coverage, but he went right to it. And Vincent Jackson, what a great route, driving off and then get back to the inside in between the safety and the corner.
Vincent Jackson voted a team captain here in Tampa Bay after coming over from the Chargers.
And I talked to him about that yesterday, and it did so much for his emotional psyche and his mentality. He was never voted a captain in San Diego. And to come here and be a free agent acquisition and to have his teammates vote him to be the leader of this team and to sell the message of Greg Schiano, he handles that and takes it with a lot of pride.
Jim Haslett, defensive coordinator. And the veteran London Fletcher, the defense had kept the Buccaneers out of the end zone until 2 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. And now an 8-point lead for the Redskins.
It's amazing what one play can do to the confidence of a football team. And it was the play to Mike Williams down the sideline and a very good throw from Josh Freeman that sparked him.
Josh Freeman, who has had trouble in the second half this year, lit it up here. Now 17 out of 30, 187 yards and a touchdown. For Vincent Jackson, who came in averaging 20 yards per catch, his second touchdown of the season.
Let's also give the defense some credit. They've come out here in the third quarter and have totally kept the Redskins out of the end zone.
Kickoff to Niles Paul, who downs it. Redskin offense takes over at the 20. Here's how the scoring began. Robert Griffin III loses it, but Pierre Garçon back in the lineup recovers for a Redskin touchdown. This time, RG3 keeps it and scores. He's also been good through the air. And Alfred Morris with a 39-yard touchdown run.
And look at that shakedown of Eric Wright in the open field. Ridiculously good.
324 total yards for Washington. But the Buccaneers have responded here in the second half. Let's see what RG3 and Alfred Morris have in store. Morris carries and picks up 4. It's been a physical game. Levante David, who went out injured, is back in. The linebacker for Tampa Bay. Darrell Young also knocked out, came back in. The Buccaneers, Eric Wright left with a head injury. Sixth-round pick, eyeing the first 100-yard game of his pro career, and this his 4th NFL game.
And he seems to get stronger, Chris, as the game goes on.
His 17th carry. And he has a Redskin first down. Mike Shanahan concurred when Alfred Morris said the first guy doesn't tackle me. It's always the first guy misses, I make him miss.
And you know Mike Shanahan, he will ride a guy as long as he can keep going. And not only just the hot hand, but the stamina to keep it rolling. And that's one thing he said after the first week in New Orleans about Alfred Morris. So this is a guy you could actually give him the ball 25 or 30 times and feel good about it. He's got that kind of stamina.
Morris again, the Buccaneers ready for him. It'll be second down for Washington as the third quarter is winding down. You can get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile free premium access this weekend. Call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile. That's ** and you can download NFL Mobile. Second down 1. Redskins from the 33. Second down 9. I'm sorry, after a gain of 1. Robert Griffin's pass in the air, and did he get to it? No. A diving effort. But Mason Foster could not come up with it.
What a tremendous play from Aqib Talib, who gives his guy Mason Foster a chance for a turnover. And he gets the pass breakup, knocks it right up in the air, and just falls off the fingertips of Mason Foster.
Excellent pictures here.
Oh.
That would have set this crowd on its ear. On third down and 9.
Tampa has thrived in third down defense today. They have gotten after this offense in this situation.
Brandon Banks is in. He gets the carry, goes back to Robert Griffin III, who's going to throw it, and wide open is Niles Paul for a Redskin advance all the way inside the 40 of Tampa Bay. Boy, the Shanahans pulled that one out.
Well, they'll pull everything out, and I told you, trying to prepare for these guys is unbelievable. We haven't seen this through this season, the old double pass. How about the offensive line? Give them some credit, Chris. Nobody down the field.
A 30-yard gain. The Redskins have the lead. They're on the move. They lead at 21-13. Here at Tampa Bay, Greg Schiano was talking to referee Al Riveron possibly about challenging 2 forward passes on that trick play. If a play is considered even, it's legal.
Yeah, and you see where the hand is releasing the ball right on that hash mark, and it looked like it ends up on the same place on the other side, and that would constitute a backward pass, not a forward pass.
And it is a play that is challengeable.
Please reset the game clock to 15 minutes. 15 minutes on the game clock, please.
Did you see Coach Schiano's, one of his assistants, run up to him right there and tell him, look up at the Jumbotron, give it another look and challenge it, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Now remember, it was ruled on the field as a legal play, so there has to be the clear evidence that it's not. And if it's even with the throw, then that is considered legal.
And it's not where his body is, it's where the ball comes out of his hand and where it's released. And there's his assistant saying, look up, man, look at that.
And Tampa Bay is challenging the ruling on the field that there was an illegal forward pass on the play.
They show here in the stadium, and those stadiums that can cooperate show the plays that are under the hood here for the fans. So there's a challenge in Tampa.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go. By the all-new 2013 Ford Escape. It's what happens when you go further. And by State Farm. Get to a better state with a discount double check.
Back here in Tampa, Greg Schiano challenging the ruling on the field to see if it was an illegal forward pass. After review,
the ruling on the field stands. Tampa Bay will be charged with a timeout, and that is also their first challenge. That is Tampa Bay's second timeout.
That is important because they only have one timeout remaining, and it's all about the release point.
That's
correct?
right, and where the ball is when it's released out of the hand. And right there it's on the 24, and Robert Griffin catches it right on the 24. So that's really lateral, which is considered backward, not a forward pass.
Mike Pereira helping to confirm what the officials reviewed, the correct call, at a 30-yard gain on third down. sets up the Redskins. RG3 to throw. And down to the 20, Joshua Morgan.
What a catch.
Was low to the turf, but he scooped it.
Chris, he was down on a knee, it looked like, when he caught that ball. Terrific ball location to a covered receiver from Robert Griffin. Look at that thing, low and humming. That's nice by Joshua Morgan.
Leonard Hankerson got the start today over Joshua Morgan with Pierre Garçon on the other side. But for Morgan, his 4th catch of the game and a 16-yard gain. First and 10 for Washington. Alfred Morris, he's over 100 yards. Pushed back by Levante David. Clock continues to run. 6th-round draft pick we mentioned from Florida Atlantic with his mom here in the crowd watching. He's run tough, busting a 39-yard touchdown run.
Chris, I hate to say it because you don't want to compare guys to legends like Terrell Davis was, but he reminds me of him quite a bit. He's got the power, he's got the vision to see it quick and get downhill quick, but most importantly, like TD, he's got the open field cutting ability that's ridiculously good.
Inside the 20, Morris gets it again, straight ahead. Now he's inside the 14-yard line. And he's doing it against the team that after 3 games to start the season was the best in stopping the run. The Buccaneers had only been giving up 47 yards per game.
And I got to tell you, if you're a defensive player and you know the run's coming and you still can't stop it, it's demoralizing.
Here's his mom. Ninth play of this drive, and it's 3rd and 2. Robert Griffin is brought down short of the first down by Gerald McCoy. First time we've hollered his name all day.
And that was a superb tackle because Robert Griffin looked like all he had to do was fall forward to pick up the first down. Watch Gerald McCoy burst through. Excuse me, he came on a twist from the other side. The nose guard went one way, he came around from the other way, and then watch the hand strength right here on Robert Griffin just to rip him backwards.
Billy Cundiff to try a 31-yard field goal. He missed from 41 and then a 57-yarder at the end of the half. This is no gimme for him. You'll get nothing like it. Gerald McCoy's big stop on 3rd down forced the Redskins into a field goal that misfires. It's still a 1-score game. Redskin fans got to be upset after Billy Cundiff missed a 31-yarder. Earlier missed a 41-yarder. You give him a break on a 57-yard try before the half, but the reason he's not in Baltimore anymore is because of the chip shot he missed for the Ravens in the championship game that sent New England on toward the Super Bowl. And Graham Gano and Neil Rackers were guys that were here before Billy Cundiff and couldn't do the job. But a big play by Gerald McCoy on 3rd and 2 against Robert Griffin III.
I'd be shocked if there wasn't a kicker transaction on the Redskins this week.
First down, Bucs trailing by 8. Time for Freeman. For Vincent Jackson. Did he hold on? Yes!
Now that's the Josh Freeman that the Bucs fans know and love from early in his career. Hard play action. And then he gets the one-on-one isolation route on the perimeter. Height advantage to Vincent Jackson. Gives him a shot, throws it up and over his shoulder. Vincent lays out for it, comes up with a terrific, terrific catch. Laying out and catching it with his fingertips, and that ball did not move when it hit the ground. That is a catch.
A 54-yard gain. Earlier, a 65-yard pass play to Mike Williams set up the Buccaneers touchdown. From the 25-yard line, LeGarrette Blount still on his feet, maybe a yard. 2 teams fighting desperately to get to 500. Both the Redskins and Buccaneers come in with 1-2 records, having been in every game they've played a chance to win at the end.
Well, and they've got life in them now, and I'll tell you, a big part of it is this play by Gerald McCoy. You're going to go here with the D-line, and watch Gerald McCoy come around and wrap up Robert Griffin and say, you're not going anywhere. I see the first down stick too. I am going to rip you back. And then that forced the field goal kick, which was missed, and now they're in position in a one-score game.
2nd and 9. Freeman's pass for Vincent Jackson. Did the ball come out? He was down, first down, catch made. And in the red zone, 22-yard play.
And this is all about getting vertical and running in between the corner and behind the linebacker. Another terrific throw from Josh Freeman. He is a different quarterback since he completed that deep ball to Mike Williams down the sideline. I mean, look at the ball location. Out in front of Madieu Williams and right where only his receiver could get it.
D'Angelo Hall tried to pull that ball out of there at the end of the play, but the catch made. 1st and goal, Tampa Bay. Freeman has it. End zone high for Mike Williams. No flags. It'll be 2nd and goal. Interesting call to throw on first down.
Well, they've been throwing on first down the whole game.
Yeah, but when you're 3 yards away and you have LeGarrette Blount and maybe 4 down territory. Second down goal, Bucs. LeGarrette Blount comes into the game.
Watch hard play action to the tight end here.
Blount has it. And touchdown, Tampa Bay.
Chris, you should be an offensive coordinator.
I've been hanging around you. I look at your notes all the time. They wanted to get the ball to LeGarrette Blount, and he finally gets into the end zone.
And that's a lot of beef. And right behind the left guard, Carl Nix.
Blount's first touchdown of this season.
And they had him hemmed up in front of the goal line, Ryan Kerrigan, and he just second effort smashed his way in.
So they need 2 for the tie. Bucs set up for the 2-point conversion effort.
Freeman drives into the end zone. It's an easy one. Vincent Jackson.
And this could change things.
False start. Number 62, offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the extra point.
Ted Larson from Palm Harbor, Florida. Wishes we weren't talking about him. Now, would you kick the extra point? It's a 7-yard play.
With 9:41, as good as their defense has played, I think I'd kick the extra point.
Greg Schiano is thinking it over. 1 timeout remaining. They've already lost a challenge.
You know what, though? At the end of the day, down by 2 or down by 1, does it really matter?
Don't you have one of your charts?
I don't keep a chart, but I know a lot of coaches with 9:41 left do not want to chase points. He is choosing to chase points here.
Freeman, incomplete. The Redskins lead 21-19. Penalties have hurt the Buccaneers today, but they do get a touchdown with LeGarrette Blount powering into the end zone. Washington will get the football, leading by 2.
This game is sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy S3. The next big thing is already here.
Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, hope you're enjoying the NFL on Fox. It's the quarter mark of the season. Teams battling to get to 500. The Bucs score and trail by 2, ready to kick off to the Redskins.
And this is huge for Tampa, as you said, getting to the quarter pole. They want to be 500 going into the off week next week. They've got to bye next week, and to be 2-2 versus 1-3, big difference.
Canaan's kick. Niles Paul watches. RG3 will take over at the 20-yard line. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Packers were trailing the Saints, who were looking for their first win, until Jordy Nelson takes this Aaron Rodgers pass. 11 yards for the score. 28-27, Green Bay up. 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdown passes in this game. Chris, Tim, and Krista.
Thanks, Kurt. Kurt will have all the highlights, the OT coming up afterwards. And overtime game with Miami, Arizona. Houston and Atlanta, the unbeatens. Griffin the third. Hankerson has it at the 35-yard line. It falls forward. A 16-yard gain. You know, he's had different kinds of games. Last week had to rally his team at home against Cincinnati. They fell short. Against the Rams, they had the lead much of the game, and the Rams came back. And, of course, the season-opening win on the road at New Orleans.
Look at those numbers. So only 5 carries, one of those being for a touchdown. The other one was knocked out right at the goal line early, recovered by Garcon for the TD. But the throwing numbers are what is so darn impressive with Robert Griffin.
He's throwing again. And in and out of the hands of E.J. Biggers, or he would have had a big interception for the Bucs.
Well, and that's why you got to trust your receivers on timing routes, because he trusted Leonard Hankerson was going to be in that spot, but Hankerson falls down. Watch as he makes his in cut. Right there, he slips and goes down. That was really a very good throw that should have been intercepted because the wideout fell.
And that was the part of the field, Tim. You and I walked down there before the game. It's painted a lot. That turf torn up from the college game that was played last night when Florida State defeated the South Florida Bulls.
Promise you that ball was hissing when Biggers tried to pick it off.
Biggers playing for Eric Wright, who was injured. 2nd and 10. He keeps it, and RG3 is brought down short of the 35-yard line. Quincy Black wouldn't let him get away.
And Robert Griffin has not been blitzed a lot this year, but there's Quincy Black. Mark Barron's going to trail right behind him. And Robert ends up initially Griffin escaping, but now it's the speed by Mike Bennett and Quincy Black to eventually track him down.
They get him for a 2-yard loss. 2nd sack of the game for the Bucs. 3rd down and 12. Through the hands of Santana Moss with 5 Buccaneers around him. Brandon McDonald tipped the football. The Buccaneer defense with some adjustments here in the second half.
Well, they have been a different team here in the second half. Not giving up a point to the Redskins, who put 21 on the board in the first 2 quarters.
It was 21-6 at the break. Buccaneers scoring a couple of touchdowns. Failing on the 2-point conversion. Fair catch called for by Roscoe Parrish in good field position. Josh Freeman has been a comeback quarterback. He'll have to do that here in Tampa Bay. It's been a different half, different game for Josh Freeman, and going against the trend of what he's done in the previous games this year.
He's been awful in the second half of games. Not today. He has flipped the script, and it's really back to the old Josh Freeman. Think of all the 4th quarter comebacks he had his first couple of years in the NFL.
This is his 45th career game, Tim, and he's had 9 4th quarter or overtime comeback victories, trailing by 2 with 8:14 to go.
I just love his resolve, because he was flat out brutal in terms of his accuracy in the first half, and he has been throwing darts in the second for big plays.
Doug Martin carries and gets a yard or 2 before he's pushed back. They go back to the run, something they have been unable to do with any success against the Redskins.
And I think if you're Greg Schiano, what you want to do is you want to just play your game and run the ball and chew the clock. Being down 2 points, a field goal wins it for you.
And you talked about this New York Giants style of offense they want to go to, which is run, and take the shots. And certainly Freeman has hit the shots in the second half.
Yeah, play action and the deep ball. And the big one to Vincent Jackson, if you remember, down the sideline was a real hard play action from Freeman.
59 is Mike.
From the 37-yard line. 2nd down. Tyquan Underwood in Redskin territory. 1st down Buccaneers. One of 4 Rutgers players on this roster. Played in college under Greg Schiano.
And I was surprised Schiano kept him over Preston Parker, to be honest with you. Josh Freeman is just bursting with confidence. Little shake move there by Tyquan Underwood. Takes it to the inside, and Freeman just throws another perfect ball.
Josh Freeman has moved the ball around. Vincent Jackson with 6 catches over 100 yards. Mike Williams 4 catches over 100 yards. Doug Martin carries. The rookie from Boise State, who's only 5'9". Freeman said at our production meeting, I feel like I can make every throw, and I'm seeing the field well.
Well, he made 3 big ones right here. This is the one that got it started. This was the confidence booster to Mike Williams down the sideline. Up to that point, things were not going good for Josh Freeman. Then he unloads this big one to Vincent Jackson. A great throw, always beats good coverage, and that culminates with a LeGarrette Blount touchdown in the end zone.
He's thrown for 278 yards and a touchdown. From the 45 of Washington, Doug Martin down to the 41. It'll bring a 3rd down for Tampa Bay. It was interesting that Josh Freeman said he talked to Eli Manning when Mike Sullivan came over, as he was a Giant offensive coach, quarterback coach, and then the offensive coordinator here, to try to get a better understanding of the offense.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, everybody processes information differently, and you can get some good cues from Eli Manning, but at the end of the day, it's his baby, and he's got to nurture it, that being Josh Freeman.
Redskin defense with a chance to make it difficult on 3rd and 3. From the 41 of Washington, Freeman still has it, throws outside, and they're ready for it. DJ Ware goes nowhere because Ryan Kerrigan was on the spot. Well played by Jim Haslett's guy.
Awesome by Ryan Kerrigan, who is such a physical player and a grinder and has an unbelievable motor on him, Chris. It, to me, is redlining all the time, maximum effort. But this is about intelligence and vision. And he is going to sense, as they try to chop block him, that DJ Ware is going to try to sneak out on a little swing route, and that is a big stop for Ryan Kerrigan. Well played.
Forces the Buccaneers to a punt attempt here. Michael Kanan, one of the better kickers at dropping it inside the 20 as Brandon Banks signals for the fair catch. And right at the 10 is where the Redskins will take over. Our first college football doubleheader of the season. Fox College Football Saturday, a Pac-12 showdown. Arizona against Stanford, followed by the Big 12 matchup, 8th-ranked West Virginia. And Heisman hopeful Geno Smith, he had 8 touchdowns yesterday, goes up against Mac Brown's 11th-ranked Texas Longhorns. Coverage of college football on Fox Saturday, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. Longhorns winning a wild one last night on Fox. And with 4:43 to go, Washington has the football. Remember, Tampa Bay only has 1 timeout remaining.
I will be curious if we see our first dose of the option game from Robert Griffin here at crunch time. We have yet to see it in this football game.
Alfred Morris, his 21st carry of the game. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the regular officials are back, but it's certainly not helping the Packers today. A couple of questionable calls at Lambeau against the Saints, including leading by 1 point. New Orleans returning it. Darren Sproles coughs up the football. It is clearly a fumble, but they said he was down by contact. The Packers were out of challenges, couldn't do anything about it. So right now their defense trying to hold on to the lead late. Chris, Tim, and Kristen.
Unbelievable. Kurt here. It's 2nd and 10. RG3 has it and goes deep. Incomplete. Hankerson was back there with E.J. Biggers.
Well, you see the arm strength of Robert Griffin III there, but I didn't like the play call. I mean, you got to chew clock here, up by 2 points. I mean, he's going for the home run, and it's impressive, and it's deep, and it's down the sideline, but Leonard Hankerson is covered up like a blanket by E.J. Biggers.
We have not seen Robert Griffin III run as much, or attempt to run, even fake the run, as in the 3 previous games. That's a tipping point, 3rd and 10. Griffin near the first down marker.
How about the play by Ahmad Black?
This is going to be a big-time spot.
Now you can challenge the spot.
Buccaneers are already 0 for 1 in the challenge department. They are showing that it is not good enough.
Now, Robert Griffin needed to stick the ball out in front of himself as Ahmad Black punched him out of bounds.
On 3rd and 10, Griffin keeps but is run out of bounds by Ahmad Black.
I think Robert Griffin thought he could actually outrun Ahmad Black to the first down marker. Otherwise, why didn't he lay out and dive for it and get the ball out in front of himself? You know how fearless and reckless he plays.
He did not get the first down. Now let's see if Mike Shanahan wants to challenge the spot. There's a system in place for the Redskins on whether they should challenge with some help from the folks upstairs who look at the video. Ground level here may be tough to tell.
Yeah, I am shocked that he didn't put the ball out in front of himself and just extend the ball. Even if you get hit, it doesn't matter where the ball or where the body is. It's where the ball is once you go out of bounds.
And Robert arguing his case.
Well, Mike Shanahan, and I'm telling you what he's doing, is he's talking to his guys up in the box who are watching this thing on television that are trying to get a good look at it.
He's got the red flag in his hand, the challenge flag. They already have the punter, Sadrock, out on the field. Because this also would give the, even if you punt
he's got to throw it, yeah. And we didn't see any definitive looks at it from any of those angles with the cameras. Maybe throwing the challenge flag, it'll give him an opportunity to see. Here's the good look right here. Oh, no, he's short.
Yeah, he's short. It's clear where that foot is out of bounds, the ball before that. And you make a good point about
Washington is challenging the ruling on the field as to where the ball was spotted.
Just extending it. I would have thought he could have outrun Ahmad Black. So under review, ruled fourth down here. It's being challenged by Shanahan. On a third down run, Robert Griffin III ruled on the field short, so it would be fourth down. Mike Shanahan challenges. The official explained to him, as Mike Pereira said, you could still move the ball a little bit on the review, but if it's not good enough for the first down, you lose the challenge.
That's right, and you can see right there where the ball is and his body out of bounds. They may end up giving him a little bit more, but I firmly believe it's not going to be enough for the first down. And again, I'm just surprised that Robert Griffin didn't stick it out in front of himself and lay out.
Ball's at the 20-yard line.
Where's the Superman when you need him? He's Superman all the other time. You got to lay out.
The ruling on the field stands. Washington will be charged with a timeout, and it is also their first challenge. It will be fourth down.
Both the Redskins and Bucs are 0 for 1 in the challenge department. Griffin is steamed. And important, too, is losing a timeout. The Redskins only have 2 remaining. The Bucs have 1, and we're involved in a 2-point game.
You say what you want about Greg Schiano. This is the 4th game of the year where they have been right in it. And they've got an opportunity here with a little more than 3.5 minutes to go here.
Sadrock. Roscoe Parrish inside the 25 of Tampa Bay. Roscoe Parrish across the 35-yard line. Lorenzo Alexander kept him from going further. And Josh Freeman, who lost 25 pounds in the offseason, put on a different hairstyle, has a new offense, a new head coach. And in a game, he's going to have to rally his hometown Bucs if he wants to win it. Tampa Bay with 2 receivers over 100 yards today. First time that's happened since 1992. Dorsey and Carrier. Wow. Long time going. They'll have the 2-minute warning.
Name that quarterback who was throwing to him. Vinny Testaverde.
Former Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Miami. Redskins trying to hold on to a 2-point advantage here. Doug Martin carries. And gets across the 42-yard line. As you said, Tim, they could be patient, knowing they have Connor Barth, who's hit from 50 and 56 today.
Well, not to mention, how many in a row for Connor Barth?
24, without a miss. From the 43 of Tampa Bay. Second down 3.
59 is Mike.
Freeman's pass to Dallas Clark. He has a first down and goes out of bounds. Something the Bucs probably don't want to do.
Well, and they've got 1 timeout left, and more importantly, the Redskins up top have 2 timeouts left. And there you see the red line is where they need to get to tie the career-long field goal for Connor Barth.
It was the 57-yarder that he hit earlier in this game, along with a 50-yarder that helped the Bucs hang in it when their offense couldn't get into the end zone.
I'm amazed at Freeman. He just looks like a different guy. Decision-making, everything.
Low snap. He has it. Kerrigan's back there. Floats it. And Tyquan Underwood came up with it.
That ball looked like it may have hit the ground.
You got your binoculars on. We'll take a closer look. A 19-yard gain if it's not changed.
Freeman is just bulletproof right now in terms of his confidence. Bad snap, doesn't matter, picks it up, throws the ball to Tyquan Underwood over the middle of the field. And let's see if this ball comes down and hits the ground. No, it just bobbled. He was able to keep control of it. The ground never forced the ball to move. It just moved within his grasp.
And the next team that misses a challenge will be done challenging for the day. But we're getting inside of 2 minutes. Delta. You told me normally that means they throw the ball. Here they run it to LeGarrette Blount. What happened? They get grounded?
They got.
We've hit the 2-minute warning. But they're in Connor Barth range. Redskins 2 timeouts. Buccaneers 1. 2 minutes to go, and Washington leads 21-19. Connor Barth at the moment would be lining up for a 52-yard field goal if they need to. He's made a career-high 57-yarder earlier in this game, along with a 50-yard field goal. Josh Freeman and the Bucs trail by 2. Second down 9.
Yeah, I think you got to run it. You got to chew clock. You got to make Washington take one of those timeouts. And the last thing you want to have happen if you pass it is get sacked. You push yourself further away for Connor Barth. So expect them to be conservative here.
Barth has also made 24 consecutive field goals without a miss. Freeman has it. He's throwing, and Josh Wilson had a chance at the interception. Fighting with the receiver, who is Mike Williams, and they're going to rule it incomplete.
Boy, that is risky.
What a dangerous throw.
That is risky.
I thought Josh Williams had the pick.
Absolutely. Look at, he's the guy that makes the break on the ball. It hits him right in the helmet. He did have it, and Mike Williams saves Josh Freeman there by pulling it out.
A defensive play by the receiver, Mike Williams, on a ridiculous throw. Now it's 3rd and 9. Redskins still have 2 timeouts. Buccaneers with 1.
Yeah, and not to mention the incomplete pass stops that baby right up there.
Looks like Bucs are going to use what is their last timeout. And that seems rather wasteful given the circumstances here. So the final timeout for Tampa Bay. They'll be facing a 3rd down. And as I said, we're in that 51 to 52-yard field goal range for Connor Barth if they gain nothing. Next week on Fox, the Falcons and Redskins among the games you'll see early, and the late games, Seahawks and Panthers. Some will see the Bears and Jacksonville. Meanwhile, 3 teams still unbeaten. Arizona, the Cardinals, the Falcons, and the Houston Texans, all 4-0. Arizona had to go to overtime to stay perfect. But here, teams fighting just to get to 500.
And this has been an entertaining second half of this football game. It was all Redskins in the first half, and Tampa has put the full court press on them, to use a basketball analogy, here in the second half defensively, and have not allowed 1 point to the Washington Redskins.
3rd down 9. Freeman, quick pass to Tyquan Underwood, who slips inside the 30. Down to the 29-yard line, maybe a little bit further as the clock runs.
Washington's going to take a timeout.
And the Redskins use 1 timeout, so they have 1 remaining.
30-second timeout.
Josh Freeman, who had such a rough first half, missing open receivers, couldn't get a rhythm. The adjustments made.
I like the fact that Greg Schiano and Mike Sullivan kept the trust in him, tell him to keep throwing. He's been terrific in the second half.
We welcome those of you who watch the Saints and the Packers with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers here in Tampa, lining up for a 47-yard field goal. They trailed 21-6 at the half. Robert Griffin III with a touchdown run. But Josh Freeman in the second half has lit it up. And Connor Barth has been clutch. Already a 57-yard field goal. Earlier in this game, his career high. The kick is through. Connor Barth from 47, from 57, from 50. Josh Freeman set him up, and the Buccaneers have a 1-point lead with 1:42 to go. And Robert Griffin III has one timeout. Snap and hold, perfect. Kick, exciting.
Yeah, and 25 in a row, as you said, for Connor Barth. And Josh Freeman in the second half of this game, and how he's played for his head coach there, Greg Schiano, it was night and day. And for all the viewers that are just joining us, he was downright awful in the first half. His accuracy was brutal. He could not hit an open receiver. And then in the second half, one big throw to Mike Williams on the sideline was the biggest play of the year. It didn't end up being a touchdown, but certainly the biggest pass play of the year for the Tampa Bay Bucs, and they have fed off of it ever since.
And Connor Barth, while he's 3 for 3, Billy Cundiff is 0 for 3, missing a 31-yarder and a 41-yarder, and one of 55 plus for the Redskins. Actually, it was a 57-yarder, but that's the difference in this game.
And he cannot have confidence, that being Billy Cundiff, because those 3 he missed, Chris, they weren't even close.
And if it comes down to that, tough decisions for the Redskins, who trail by 1. Robert Griffin III and the Redskin offense will start out on the 20. Let's talk about the Buccaneer comeback and how it started. It was 3rd and 2, and McCoy made the play, and they missed a field goal try.
Yeah, and here's the effect. Vincent Jackson, man coverage over D'Angelo Hall, and then Vincent Jackson again over the middle of the field, and then it finishes with LeGarrette Blount punching his way in for the touchdown.
2 receivers over 100 yards receiving for the Bucs, and Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams. 1 timeout remaining for Robert Griffin III, who's 22 out of 30 throwing it. He's run 6 times for a touchdown and 28 yards. Pass is complete to Santana Moss up across the 36-yard line. Both teams in the second half missed on a challenge and cost themselves a timeout. Fresh set of downs after a gain of 15. Wide open is Fred Davis. And Fred Davis is in Buccaneer territory down to the 45-yard line. RG3 with a 20-yard gain.
And this was versus a blitz, and you're going to see pressure come from the right side of your screen. Rondé Barber. Fred Davis catches it and cuts back right to where Rondé came from.
Underneath to Evan Royster. Clock runs. 1 timeout remaining for Washington.
Because they have that 1 timeout left, the whole field's open to them. If they didn't have the timeout left, I promise you the Tampa Bay Bucs would be defending and using the sideline as 2 extra defenders.
They're worried about the run. And there goes RG3. Knocked down at the 26-yard line by Mason Foster. A 15-yard gain for a first down.
Got to spike it. Yeah, got to spike it. And you do have a timeout left, so they can run 1 play and try to get it closer for Billy Cundiff.
Or take a shot at the end zone. Cundiff is 5 out of 9 in the field goal department this year, but today, 0 for 3. Washington led 21-6 at the half. Rookie running back Alfred Morris over 100 yards rushing with a touchdown run. RG3 with a touchdown run. And a fumble recovery in the end zone by Pierre Garçon. For Tampa Bay, Vincent Jackson a touchdown catch. And LeGarrette Blount a touchdown run. But field goals have played an important role and still might. Here comes a flag.
False start. Number 78 offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 7 down.
And that's the second time Corey Lickensteiger has had a false start for the Washington Redskins in this game. You see him right here at left guard. And Robert Griffin wasn't even really getting into his cadence yet. Certainly was not a hard count. Like Lichtensteiger, who was affected the crowd noise, could hear nothing.
Right now it would be a 49-yard field goal try for Billy Cundiff if they don't gain anything. 18 seconds, 1 Redskin timeout. Is snared by Santana Moss, and he gets inside the 25-yard line, and Washington can set up and use the timeout.
I don't even know why they just don't call the timeout now. Forget trying to spike it. I mean, forget. You know what? You put yourself at risk having a penalty on a running clock. Shanahan may have told the official when it gets down to 1 second, we'll call the timeout. It is a Redskin timeout and their final timeout. So we'll set up for a field goal try. And I don't know where his head is at, but where the ball is at, it's a makeable field goal. He can make all the bad stuff go away by punching this one through the uprights for a victory.
We're estimating a 42-yard field goal try. Worth repeating. 0 for 3. Missed a 31-yarder, 41-yarder, and then a lengthy 57-yarder right before the half. But 5 out of 9 for the season. The ex-Raven, Billy Cundiff. For Josh Freeman, a terrific second half to put his team in front.
Give Robert Griffin some credit today, too. No points here in the second half, but he has been brilliant when you look at his numbers.
The punter, Sat Rocca, is the holder. Justin Snow, the snapper. The kick is good. Three seconds show on the clock. Officially from 41 yards. Billy Cundiff delivers.
Well, you got to feel good for Billy Cundiff. You got to feel awfully bad for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, the Buccaneers, who pride themselves on defense, allowed Robert Griffin III to move down the field in a short amount of time and give Cundiff a chance at redemption.
Yeah, well, what's new, Chris? Robert Griffin has done it to everybody through the first 4 games of the season this year. His numbers today: 26 of 35, 325 yards.
And as much as RG3 touches the football, no turnovers for Greg Schiano. I wouldn't want to watch it either if I were on that sideline.
I'll tell you one thing. He should be proud of his football team for how they came out and battled here in the second half on both sides of the ball. Because we got to the intermission, to the break, and it did not look like it was going to be a game.
Run out of Baltimore. Billy Cundiff, who missed in the championship game when the Ravens had the Patriots on the ropes, comes through for Washington as Greg Schiano and his team, before the bye week, likely to slip to 1-3, and the Redskins will get back to even with a record of 2-2. Our game today, a Mike Burks production, directed by Michael Frank, associate director Brian Biederman, broadcast associate Alex Strand, James Petralka, Emmett McGuire helping us in the booth. And with 3 seconds left, we're going to try the old pitch back. That's Dallas Clark, who throws back towards Vincent Jackson. And the ball is fumbled, and finally this game comes to an end. The Redskins rally for a 24-22 win. For Tim Ryan and Chris Devoda, I'm Chris Myers. We'll have more from